Did I miss the theme song?
Hello, hello. I think we're rolling now. Hello. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Lisa. Robert, Mike, Flyfisher, Ron, Nancy, Kurt, James. Hello, hello. Quad witching as well. Yes, indeed. Cindy, hello. Hey, Joseph. I don't. Joseph said gold against you. Gold's up. Spy up a little bit. Um,
Did the overnight option hit?
It actually hasn't hit because we got that sell off right in the last half hour of the day. So we're just back a little bit above where we need to be. So this one we probably need like a little extra pop compared to our usual overnight play, just because we happen to get a little unlucky on that last half hour of the day yesterday. But that's what Fridays are for. A little pop in the market. Overall, though, things are looking pretty good once again, just kind of continuing the grind.
Did anyone get that Oklo shotgun trade from yesterday? I can't even believe my eyes, Nate. It's up 140% right now.
Yeah, that's insane. Speaking of insane
Is
things.
Oracle going to make Oracle's up, but Oracle's been interesting. It was at 320 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Very strong start to the week and then sold off from there. So we'll see. I need it for my trade above 305 today for max profit. 302.50 is fine for me, which is kind of where it's at now. But for max profit, 305.
It touched 305 at the
I
open.
know. Yeah, a little resistance there. Probably should ask Kane to see if we can look at the gamma pocket.
Yeah.
Actually,
By the way, guys, if you haven't already closed that two-way trade, our little bonus two-way trade, go ahead and close that. I think just in case we get a little wackiness later. We did Graham. We did a two-way trade on SoFi as a Fed trade. So I'm trying to talk and read at the same time. As a Fed trade, we did SoFi. So I'd go ahead and let that one close. It should. I mean, you should literally be able to get like the full dollar for it right now. That's why I just think it's not worth leaving out. Let me try actually right now, just in real time, see if I can get. Oh yeah, close at 98 cents immediately. So you could probably even get 99 cents out of that one if you want to close it. So nice to see another two-way winner on the books. Okay, folks, let's do something we haven't done here in a little while, and go through a couple of the common questions that we tend to get, just so you guys. I feel like it's important to do this every couple of weeks, especially as we have new people and these kind of questions continue popping up. So let me grab.
My goodness, I'm just sitting here, Nate. I've been telling you guys for weeks. Sorry, I'm kind of gasping today because I have not been taking big positions. You guys know why if you've been paying attention. So I've been doing 1, 2, 3 contracts versus sometimes like when I get really when I'm really convinced of a position, I'll put $5,000 in or maybe even more. I've been doing like 200 to 500 bucks. 500 is a big position for me right now. CLSK, I only put like $100 in. It's up 427% right now.
Yeah, it's been a monster. Oh wow, Nvidia up another 0.5%. Nice. It looked like it was grinding lower overnight. Nice to see that back up. Okay, I was a little bit worried about my Nvidia trade overnight. Just want to cover some common questions today because it is Ask Us Anything Friday. So obviously, if you guys have questions in addition to these, we're going to carve out plenty of time for those. I might take a look at a couple trades. Last weekend we did that QQQ. I guess maybe that was 2 weekends ago. That QQQ, like two-way trade, Graham, over the weekend. We were able to get like 40% on a 0.4% move in the QQQ. So I'll check the prices. Frankly, I think if we can get that, we should take it every weekend. Honestly, if you can get 40, 45% on less than a 0.4% move in the Qs, just taking some weekend uncertainty out of the equation. Where if you do get a drop,
Mhm.
You're still in good position. So we'll take a look at the pricing, see if we can get that. Yeah, Joseph, I think you have my CLSK trade. You have the one that I gave. Graham didn't realize that we had done one the day before, and we happened to pick the same one. So I have the 1219 as well. Now, the crazy thing about that 1219 one, Graham, is
Mhm.
that it is up 130%, but that's with the current price at 49 cents on that spread.
Wow.
So it'll be up 260% if we hit that, and we're already in the money. So Time Decay is now working on our behalf, Joseph, on that bad boy. Okay. So one of the big questions that we always get, because we talk so much about debit spreads, is what happens if you're assigned early on a debit spread? So we talk often about, okay, manage it when it's between the strikes and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But what happens if I'm assigned early on a debit spread? Well, this is actually the best case scenario because it means you can exercise your bought call or put and generate a full profit potential on the trade. So for a lot of people, that early exercise is a big concern, a big, nightmare scenario. In reality, it's actually great. So just to quench any of those fears, an early assignment is always a good thing on a debit spread. So here's the example. If you buy the 77 Wells Fargo call and you sell the 79, and then you get the email here, which is like the dreaded email that brokers do such a bad job of actually explaining what's happening here. And they say, hey, you have 10 contracts that have been assigned in your account. And then they normally say something like, so you're about to go bankrupt, check your account, you might be poor now. And then people are like, oh my goodness, what's happening? Well, what it actually means is that you're forced to sell 1,000 shares of Wells Fargo at $79, right? Because it's 10 contract times 100 shares per contract. So that means you have to sell 1,000 shares of Wells Fargo. And the scary part is you might have a small account and think, oh my goodness, I now have a huge short position in an account. That's $79,000 worth of short trades. And if you have a $5,000 account and you're short $79,000, you might be a little bit concerned. But remember, this is the trade, right? We have the buy to open 77 and we have the sell to open 79. These options were the ones that were assigned to us. But the leg of the trade on the buy side gives us the right to own shares of Wells Fargo at $77. That's what this contract gives you. So you now have the ability, as soon as you exercise that, to own shares at 77, and you're forced to sell them at 79, which means you make $2 per contract, which is the max value of the trade. So just to be very, very clear here, when you get assigned and then when you get assigned and then you exercise your side, you are getting the maximum profit potential of that spread. You are even getting more than you might have been planning to make with a profit target. Okay. So does everyone understand that? Okay. This is for an early assignment. Let me just go back through it just super quick here. Okay. You get this. It says, hey, you're assigned 79. You have to be short. But because you also own this, you now will exercise this call. That means you're buying the same amount of shares for 77. You own shares at 77. You're forced to sell them at 79. That is $2 for every single share. Okay. So if you get early assigned, the action step is you want to exercise the other side. Now, it does not matter what the price does. Okay, so Pro asked a good question. This is something I get a lot of times. People say, "Oh, I got exercised or I got assigned, but then the price moved." Guys, it does not matter. It does not matter one bit if you get exercised or assigned and the price changes. You are selling them at 79 and you have the right to own them at 77. Period. End of story. That is $2 because fundamentally you own shares at 77 and you sell them at 79. Doesn't matter if the price is at 100 or 30. This is still the exact same trade. So it does not matter what price is doing. Okay. You don't need the funds. You don't need the funds to cover it. Now, I say that obviously check with your broker in case they have some funky rules. But in almost every modern brokerage account, because you have the other side, it doesn't matter how much funds you have. I got assigned like $1 million of Tesla shares in a $2,000 Robinhood account before. Now they did auto exercise. They didn't wait for me to make my decision. They did that automatically, but it still wasn't an issue. I still won the trade, even though I was assigned crazy amounts of money. Okay. So again, early assignment on a debit spread, always a good thing. Early assignment on a credit spread, not always a good thing. Okay. That normally means you're going to take a max loss on the trade. Still, it's not what most people think. Most people think, oh, hey, if I get assigned, I'm going to lose all my money. Well, no, you're still going to have max risk. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Question number 2. This is a super common. Graham, this might be the most common question we get, honestly, because of all the trade alerts we do, which is like, okay, how much do I chase a spread when I'm trying to enter? If I give you a trade, it's 73 cents. You say, okay, do I trade it for 75? Do I trade it for 78? I get this question a ton in overnight options. That's one of the reasons we have built the tool that hopefully we're deploying today, Graham. I keep thinking we're going to deploy it. Hopefully we're going to deploy that dang thing today. But we get this question all the time. Now, it's a little tougher to answer because there's a lot of factors to consider when you're making a trade. And obviously the entry price is very important. The biggest thing to understand, though, and this will help you just conceptually understand why that entry price is so important, is that the reward potential of a spread is capped, right? If you trade a $1 spread, it can only ever be worth $1. If you trade a $5 spread, it can only ever be worth $5. So the more you pay, the more you lower your risk to reward. So for example, if I say, let's trade XLF for 46 cents, we know the max value here is $1 because the 49 and the 50, this trade can only ever be worth $1 in the best case scenario. And paying 46 cents means there's 54 cents of profit potential, right? Hopefully you guys have been around enough that this all makes sense to you. If not, I would definitely recommend going back and looking through previous tradings. But at a $1 spread, if you pay 46, the other side of that $1 is your profit potential. So in this case, 54 cents is your profit potential because the $1 minus the 46 you paid, that's what you have left over. And your potential ROI there is 117%, right? 46 versus 54. So what happens if you chase it 2 pennies and you go from 46 to 48? Well, you're not only paying 2 pennies more, you're also getting 2 pennies less on the reward side. So you go from 117 to 108. If you chase it 5 pennies, you go from 117 to 96. And if you chase just 10 pennies, you go from 117% to a 78% ROI potential because you paid from 46 to 56, but you also lowered your potential reward from 54 to 44. So like the way I like to explain it is every penny counts twice. You're paying more, and then you're also taking it off of the reward potential in a debit spread. So just notice how quickly that trade went from 117 to 78 cents. And that's because the capped nature of a spread where the small adjustment that you pay in price has a big impact on the total trade. A good rule of thumb, in my opinion, is to not pay more than about 5% of the recommended debit for any trade. Graham, I don't know if you want to intervene with any different rule that you would use on your side. I would always say if it's like a 50-cent debit, you probably only want to chase 1 penny or 2 pennies at the most. Yeah. If it's a $2 trade, then maybe you chase it by 5 or 8 pennies. So I don't know if you have anything.
And I think the important thing is understanding your strategy and your approach and what you're going for. Like if it's a wrap order, I tell you guys, you want to always be between the 80 to 120% ROI. That's why we try and teach you what we're looking at, how we're selecting the options, how we do the math, so that if you're looking at it, maybe you're looking at the wrap order the next day, maybe you got the opening playbook VIP membership, you're checking back on what we took, and you see that the ROI is only 70%. Well, you know that no longer really qualifies for what we're shooting for with that option selection.
Yeah. It's a good point because, a lot of times Graham and I will say, hey, this is a low probability trade. And so it's like a 200% ROI. Well, the last thing you want to do is take a low probability trade and make it an 80% ROI, right? So
yesterday was a good example, actually. We did Lennar. It didn't work. But an option, it's either, it's going up or down. So if you go, it's we'll call it a 50-50 shot. I said you do not want to enter for 100% ROI. You need to have better than 100% ROI
Right.
for positive risk to reward. Otherwise, you're flipping a coin to break even. So,
Right. Well, and I did see, I don't want to, not to call anyone out in the chat. And then I did see a couple people say got filled at 54, got filled at 55. And I was like, you guys, you chased it a couple pennies, but you probably didn't realize the risk reward capping there, actually did exactly what you were kind of concerned about. All right.
I've got a few questions stacked up from the chat whenever you want them.
All right. I'll just go through these 7 and then we'll flip back to those if you want to keep track of them for us.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, return on risk is what we're quoting, John. Graham, this is actually one that you threw in if you want to cover it real quick, which is the rule of thumb for how much volume you should have, because we do get this, low open interest or low volume a lot.
So it's a great question. And it, again, depends how you're trading. If you are day trading, you're scalping the market and you want to get in and out in 3 minutes, you probably aren't going to use a limit order. You're probably going to use a market order. So in that case, volume matters. We're not doing that here. Typically, our trades are at least an hour, usually a day to 2 weeks to 4 weeks to 6 months sometimes.
Yeah.
So the reason that volume doesn't matter so much to me, open interest doesn't matter so much to me, is because we are always using a limit order. So we are always setting the price that we are willing to pay. So for example, like here's HWM, which is a great stock, by the way, good stock right now. But if you looked at the options chain, you would see here open interest, there's none over 1,000, and volume for that day was essentially non-existent.
Yeah,
and that left a wide bid ask spread. You can see there was like each strike was about $2 wide bid ask. So like look at that 170 strike. It's 285 by 480. Yeah. That's huge. Yeah, huge. So most people look at this and say, it's too wide of a spread to enter. You're never going to get filled. Well, that's not true. If you use a limit order, you are at least guaranteeing the most you'll pay for that price. So again, knowing the strategies, knowing how we approach options is really important. For the wrap order, you would then know the price you want to pay. So don't rush in at any given price it's showing. Use a limit order to set the price you want, the price you are good to pay for an entry. So here's a screenshot of that HWM trade, which I ended up getting filled on, but that's a 250 wide spread, right? We're buying the 170, selling the 170, 250. So the difference there is 250. With the wrap order, we always want to enter for around half that price. So the most typically that I would be willing to pay is about $1.25. So in this case, I got in for $1.20, a little bit better. But I know, regardless of what the current options volume says, I'm going to set a limit order around $1.25, send it off, and if it doesn't fill, it's not the end of the world. There's plenty of trades to take, but we always want to be the one making the decision on how much we're paying. We're not letting the market maker rip us off.
Yeah. I would say too. There you go. Understanding the strategy, like I can't be overstated. So like a lot of folks in here are newer. They're mainly just following our trades, which I think is great and fine. But one of the questions that you'll eventually have is, okay, well, how do I know how much to pay? Like Graham said, don't pay more than you're willing to pay, which I think is one of the most important things to learn about trading. But a lot of you go, I have no idea what I'm willing to pay. Well, that's part of understanding the strategy. Like when you start understanding what is a low probability pick that I should really be getting 200% ROI versus what's a high probability pick that I can pay more, and your understanding increases, then you'll have a lot more control of your trades. You'll go in and be like, I know I can probably, justify this trade at $1.10, but not at $1.30. So I think that's actually one of the cool things that happens as your understanding of strategies build, that you really do know exactly what to pay or not pay.
And I know we have David, I know we have quite a few questions in the chat coming in. We're probably not going to be able to answer all of them. But a lot of these questions, like how to set an early exit, how to set a limit order, how to do a debit spread, we have all of those trainings pre-recorded in the opening playbook members area. It's $1 for a lifetime. I know we have a lot of new people this week, especially after the roundtable. So David, if you don't mind, can we get that link in the chat for the new folks here? Weekend's coming up, guys. It's a great time to catch up on the trainings.
True.
There are 3 or 4 very specific trainings in the members portal that are must see. The first one is Nate's basically just intro to debit spreads. I would say my wrap order training and the how to set a target on debit spreads. Those 3, if you can knock those out this weekend, you are going to be about 100 miles ahead come Monday. You definitely.
As a matter of fact, all right, let's do this. If you guys are new and you haven't done any of those and you're not an Opening Playbook VIP member, first just pay the $1 and get into that. But if you're new, give me a yes in the chat, just real quick here. Let's take a quick pause because it is Friday. We get to do some of this fun stuff where we just take a beat and talk to the folks. Give me a yes in the chat if you're, say, like less than a month. You've been around us for less than a month. Debit spreads are still not like rock solid for you. You're still figuring out some of the, how to place targets. How much do I pay for trades? How much do I chase trades? How do these structures actually really work? When would I use an aggressive one versus a conservative one? Give me yes if you're in any of those categories. And
let's just say this: there's no shame in the game. We've all, we all started somewhere.
Oh, I mean, I love the fact that there's so many new people. Yes. Oh, and we have a ton. Okay, so I'm seeing a ton of yeses. All right, here's what I say, Graham. I say we make it a challenge to do exactly what you said. Over the weekend, anyone who put a yes in the chat or anyone else who, first of all, make sure you join Opening Playbook VIP for $1. But then go through those 3 trainings and we'll use the honor system. Someone on Monday who says, hey, I went through all 3 trainings. We'll do like an Opening Playbook sweatshirt for someone who goes through and actually does their homework this weekend. Again, we'll have to use the honor system here because we're not gonna verify that you got all the notes. But maybe we'll give you a pop quiz. I don't know. But someone who actually goes through and does the homework over the course of this weekend and takes action, because we love the action takers. We love the people who don't just hear things that sound good, but actually go do a little legwork. We'll send a sweatshirt or 2 out of the Opening Playbook sweatshirts. Or polo, whatever you prefer, to someone who goes through that. Just use the honor system. Okay.
Nate, do you mind just really quick before we move on, just show it in the members area, just so they know what 3 videos we got?
Yeah, good idea. Let me do that.
And then, guys, that link is pinned in the chat. David pinned it for us. It's $1 for lifetime. We would give it for free. We had to charge something to get it in the members portal, so we decided on one whole George Washington US dollar.
Yes, and that is lifetime access for $1. Okay, so this is the Opening Playbook VIP membership. If you are not in here, like Graham said, it's $1 because we had to charge something to create an official membership. So we lose money on everyone who joins because of those transaction costs, but it's worth it to get you in here. Lots of great stuff. But these trainings I think are really some of the most important ones. So if you go in here, the first one Graham mentioned. The first one I mentioned was the debit spread trading. So let me find that here.
You got to click the show. You got to click the show all by the videos. It's the one thing in OCT that confuses everybody before.
Well, yeah, but this one's actually in a different spot. So it's down here at the bottom on the additional resources, the how to trade debit spreads. This is the first one that I highly recommend. And then this wrap order one here is the second one to definitely go through. And then, by the way, if you want to go through the recordings, there's about 30 other ones that are very much worthwhile. Maybe I'll just have Deanna create one more category in here, Graham, and just put those 3 right in a row.
Yeah, that'd be easier. Yeah,
let's do that. I think she might be out today, but let's make sure we do that at some point. Just like a start here, 1, 2, 3 in order. I think that would actually be really great for people. So we can plan on doing that. Okay. So here we go. Moving right along. Why do we like debit spreads instead of credit spreads? You guys have heard us talk about, debit spreads a lot. Obviously, if you've been in the opening and closing playbook rooms. And there are a couple key reasons. Now, before I answer the 2 reasons that I personally like debit spreads a lot, I do think we need to kill the entire myth around debit spreads versus credit spreads. If someone has told you, credit spreads are for income and debit spreads are for directional trading or anything similar to that, that's actually just not true. It's again, one of those things that's kind of like an easy, thing to say that is not actually rooted in the fundamentals of trading or how options work. Debit spreads can be constructed in any way you want. It's one of the reasons I like them. They can be a defensive income trade that's below the price, Okay. They can be a wrap order, which is like what Graham uses, looking for a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio. They can be a directional trade well above the price of the stock. So we would call that a jump trade or an elite trade, or they can be anything in between. So there's no world where a credit spread gives you some potential income that a debit spread does not give you. And if you go to my time decay, speaking of joining the Opening Playbook VIP and taking advantage, I did a time decay class on this. That was all using debit spreads, but the exact same logic still applied where time decay is working on your behalf. So 2 reasons I like them. Number one, and this sounds simple, but it's actually a big reason. It's easier to understand and do the math. I know that sounds simple, but for a lot of people just really getting the hang of trading, the idea of buying something for $1 and selling it for $2 is easier to comprehend. It's easier to understand. It makes sense. I buy the trade for $1, I sell it for $2 versus, okay, I got a credit of a certain amount. My max risk is the width of the spread minus that credit. And if it goes against me, that credit will become a debit that I'll have to buy back. It's just easier, in my opinion, to explain it, to do the math, to feel comfortable, buy it for as cheap as you can, sell it for as much as you can. And that's one reason I like debit spreads. And the other one is exactly what we talked about on that second question. It removes the risk of early assignment. Early assignment, instead of becoming this big fear like it is on a credit spread, actually becomes a big benefit for you on a debit spread. So those are the 2 reasons that I like. Now, there is one reason that I do like credit spreads. They have an advantage. I'll talk about that in a minute. Question number 5. What happens if a debit spread expires between the strike price? All right, so we talked about early assignment. This would not be early assignment. This would be what happens if it actually expires on the expiration date between those 2 strikes. Well, if a debit spread expires in the money, the in the money leg will exercise while the out of the money leg expires worthless. So if you're trading the 49.50 call spread on XLF and the closing bell, it's $49, right? So, $49.01 to $49.99, anywhere in between, it means you're going to be assigned those short shares, you're going to be assigned those long shares at $49, but you're not going to have those ones that are assigned to sell at $50. All right. So if it's anywhere between $49 and $49.99, what that means is that your $49 call will be exercised because it finished in the money. And so if you have 10 contracts, it's going to say, hey, now you have 1,000 shares at $49, but you're not going to have the right to immediately sell those shares at $50. So only one side is in the money. So this is typically the scenario that I just tell everyone to avoid entirely. I mean, unless you want to own the shares anyway. And you say, hey, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. The good news is this is very easy to avoid. All you got to do, guys, is check your trade around 3 p.m., 3:30. And if it's close to settling in between the strikes, just exit the trade. Just exit it with a new limit order. See what it's worth. Add a new limit order. If you had a previous limit order already on the position that is not being filled, cancel that and replace it with a new limit order right around the current price, and you will get out of the trade. So just avoid it is my typical recommendation there. Depending on what you paid for the spread, that should usually be around a break-even result, right? Because you're going to be somewhere in between the strikes. There's going to be some value on that trade. Like I said, if you already have a limit, cancel that limit, set up a new closing order for the position. Okay, question number 6. This is, by the way, this could also be added, Graham, to the third reason we like debit spreads, but it would also be true about credit spreads, which is, are debit spreads more expensive on good stocks than bad ones?
No. And if you're newer, it probably won't blow your mind, but as you trade them more and more, that should absolutely blow your mind, because it's actually a huge anomaly in finance, in my opinion. Because if you think of the odds game, which stock has a better chance of going higher, a really good stock or a really bad stock? Let me just ask the chat. If you were to bet and you could only pick one of the 2 stocks to go higher, would you bet the good stock to go higher or the bad stock?
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be a trick question.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is that with call options, you don't necessarily get the same odds. But with debit spreads, because of the way they offset extrinsic value, they offset implied volatility, they offset time decay, you get the same odds betting on a good stock going higher as you do a bad stock. It's the craziest thing ever. In fact, in my wrap order training, I try to persuade you guys that giving a 1-to-1 risk to reward on stocks going higher is mathematically a casino-like edge, because we know about 60-70% of the time stocks are going higher. So it should not make sense that we get these odds, but we do. And the other cool thing, and I could go down a whole rabbit trail here, is that the market makers actually cannot do anything about it. The only way they could fix it is by then manipulating the individual call option strikes. If they do that, then they create a whole host of other loopholes that we would take advantage of. So I dare them to try and fix it. They won't. They won't try and fix it. And I have to guess not enough people are trading this way where it's actually a big problem for them. So hopefully the opening playbook doesn't grow to 100 million members and then they decide debit spreads are the biggest risk for them.
I think sorry, I didn't flip slides enough, but 1-to-1 odds, even when stocks go up 70% of the time, incredible scenario. It's like being able to, go to horse races and bet on the horse that's favored to win with 50-50 odds. Just very, very bizarre. But like you said, the construction of the options themselves really prevent them from doing anything about it.
Yeah, it's like this. Like the Buffalo Bills are a really good football team, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are not.
True.
Yeah, so of course you take Buffalo.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
But hey, you know what? All jokes aside, I think the Colts may win the Super Bowl, so I'm going to have to jump back on the bandwagon.
Yeah, well, speaking of which, maybe you should maybe later on the Ask Me Anything, you should tell the whole opening playbook about your real investing strategy, because there's nothing to do with stocks.
Nate, I would tell them, but I'm afraid that we'd have 2 or 3 people go join me in market making of Daniel Jones football cards that they'd outbid me and run me out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just think maybe you should be honest with your people and tell them that you're basically not even a stock trader anymore at this point. You are only a Daniel Jones.
I am a multiple asset trader. Nate.
All right. Next one. When you use a target versus let it ride. Graham, I put my answer in here, but curious on your thoughts as well. So for me, no one size fits all, but I'll just give you a few things I do in my own trading that might be helpful. So most of my strategies are mechanical. Okay, meaning a certain optimal target is literally built into the strategy. So in those cases, I just set a good till cancel limit order as soon as the position is filled. All right, it's like overnight options. We set the target every time. Automated options, 2A, like all of those, they're baked in, and so we're always just setting the target. But if I take a discretionary trade, like the ones we're often throwing out in opening and closing playbook, it's not as systematic for me. So the way I like to manage them is no set targets usually, especially on hedges. And then I use time versus ROI as my guideline. So what does that mean? Well, it means if I put that CLSK position in and it has a potential to return 400%, I usually don't start off with the target. I usually just start off with letting it, go and seeing what happens. But if CLSK bumps $5 the next day and I can get out for 150% from holding the trade for one day, well, then I'll just close it. Even though I was planning on making 400%, I'll just close it early because the time to ROI ratio is really good. And then, I'll manage it more aggressively at expiration.
Yeah. Do you want?
So sorry, I'm reading Dave's no chat and trying to figure out what it's
joking around in the chat about what's going to happen when we have 100 million subscribers.
Oh, I see. Okay. Anything you would add to when you would use a target versus not use a target?
Yeah. I would say overall, again, there are strategies that may call for one or may not call for one, but it also, like, you have to think, what kind of trader are you? I always joke here that we need name tags here where it says Nate is the conservative high win rate investor. Graham is the aggressive high risk, high reward investor. I don't love using targets because I know over the long haul, based on tons of testing, the profitability is bigger. But that comes with a little asterisk too. Your drawdowns will also be bigger. Volatility in your account will also be bigger. So if you don't like seeing big swings in your account, both to the upside and downside, you probably want to lean towards strategies that have a target because you're naturally going to get a higher win rate. If you like that volatility, if you're okay with that and you just really want to go for gold, which is kind of what I go for in a lot of my strategies, then maybe you aren't a target trader. So obviously, each individual strategies will have optimized rules of how it performs best. But like even like the 60-minute income strategy, which I've been letting the members know, it has a very, very high win rate with the target at the 50% target. It's high 70s over the long haul. When we take the VIX, the low VIX out, it gets even better. The profits are really great and substantial as well. However, if you don't use the target, that win rate drops to about, I think it's 58-60% range, which doesn't sound very good. And to a lot of people, that's not appealing. But the fact that we get to do it almost every day, that stacks up over time because it's a 1-to-1 risk to reward with this just huge odds. So again, like targets are for people who like higher win rates, steadier growth, kind of like the income machine. I love the income machine, kind of like that kind of trajectory. No target typically, if you're ready to swing for the fences, high risk, high reward, but you also know your math, your numbers and your probabilities.
Yeah. I would say too, like what we just talked about, how if you just took 50-50 coin flip trades on good stocks, it would be like a casino advantage. But the reason no one would do that is kind of because what you're saying. So if you just every day or every Monday, just took the top 50 stocks, did a 1-to-1 trade on it, over time, you would be a casino. You'd make the margins and you'd be dominant.
Right.
But no regular trader will do that because they'll lose 80 in a row at some point. And they won't act just like casinos take big hits, but they don't care. Traders don't have that mindset typically. So you do have to understand the mindset part of it for sure.
I'll actually give an example right now of one of my programs, a program I love. But Perfect Income, if you guys are a member of Perfect Income, the dollar option program, I don't use a target there. Depending hopefully Oracle keeps moving here. If it keeps moving, we'll have a win. Let's say Oracle doesn't. This will be our 3rd week in a row of losing, which can happen. That's just normal. We also have had 5 weeks in a row of winning. So net odds,
right.
You're positive. However, again, let me just say this. If you used a 50% target in Perfect Income, I think you would have hit all 3 of these weeks that may have ended up losers here. Depending on, again, where Oracle fit. Let's just pretend Oracle's going to lose. I know it was higher this week. If you used a 50% target, you probably would have had 3 winners in a row versus I'm going to have 3 losers. However, again, over the long haul, no target has better profitability.
Right.
But over the long haul, profit target has smoother growth, smoother equity curve.
Right. Okay. Other things to note: if it's a $1 spread and you can close it for 98 cents weeks before expiration, I would say close it just because of the recycling of the capital. So not because it's not going to be worth $1, just because if you're trading a normal sized account and you can get almost every penny out of it ahead of time, I would recommend just close it, recycle that capital. Check with your broker on assignment fees. So if you're trying to let things expire for full profits, just make sure you're not actually better off setting like a 98, 99 cent target at the end and getting out with a target with less fees. If you want to hold most of your trades to expiration for max profit, that is actually the one scenario where I say you might want to consider switching to credit spreads because then they'll expire worthless versus having those extra assignment fees. So that's the one scenario where I would consider it. And then when trading S&P, you can use XSP or SPX to remove assignment risk altogether. So just a couple other notes there to consider.
While you're on assignment, can you just, the number of people asked, what do you do to actually exercise? When you get exercised, you were telling them, if they do get assigned, how do they go in and actually exercise it?
So for almost every broker, it's like a right click on the actual option on the other side, and then a click of the exercise button. Every broker is a little bit different, but in most cases, you're basically right clicking or one clicking it on the buy side of the option and then clicking exercise. If you have a small account, it's pretty likely that your broker is going to do that automatically before you even have a chance to click it. And of course, you can always call them. If you're ever concerned, you think, am I doing something that's going to blow up my account? Don't just click buttons. Call the broker and say, hey, I have the other side of this. I think I'm fine. Can you just walk me through it? Always use that if you're ever concerned. And also just use YouTube, guys. Use YouTube, use ChatGPT, ask questions, help firm up your understanding as you're getting comfortable. I think getting really comfortable with your broker platform and knowing what you're doing is one of the more underrated parts of trading. But just developing that over time is, I think, really important. All right. Someone in the chat said they're not seeing the calculator. So the calculator I'm in Apex, so that's not going to help me find the calculator. There we go. The calculator in opening playbook is right here under calculator. Click that guy. That's going to open up this tab. And so if I'm sorry, I forget who asked about the calculator.
There were a few people. I tried answering like what the name of it was in there, but showing it on the screen is probably more helpful.
Yeah, I saw a question. Sorry, I chat was going by quick. I like to try to call people out by their names so they know I'm talking to them. But this is the calculator. You can see here debit spreads at the top left, credit spreads at the top right, and then puts and calls is this toggle here. Then just put in your information, and it will do all of the math for you. Okay. So any other questions there on the calculator?
Oh no, not on the calculator. Sorry.
Okay, but go ahead. Those are my 7, so I'm good to go.
Okay. I mean, a few of them are definitely covered in the trainings. I'll skip those because I don't want to take up time for stuff that they can learn over the weekend in more detail. One person asked if you have a method for avoiding early assignment due to dividends and dividend charges.
It's a good question. I've gotten this one a couple of times. There are a couple things you can do. You can actually check the ex-div date for any stock that you're trading and be mindful of it. Your broker will usually give you a warning when you put the trade on so that you can just avoid it if you want to. But frankly, my typical approach is just to ignore it entirely and just take the trade. And as long as the trade has enough ROI that even in the assignment with a dividend, I'm still profitable, I'll just take it anyway. Because I've had like maybe 3 where I did get assigned. It was very clearly to owe the dividend. And I was like, it was like a break-even kind of trade. I was like, I'll make 8% on this trade and just pay the dividend myself because it literally guarantees a profit as soon as they assign it. So that's really my default. But the other way to do it is just to be mindful and look at the ex-div and avoid those stocks entirely, because certainly your risk of being assigned is very elevated during those times, especially if it's a high dividend, like a 5%, 6% dividend stock. By the way, Dave, before we continue on, let me just mention, yes, I post in Telegram. You will get another chance at weekend options. I try to do as much as I can on Friday to remind everyone, hey, trade's coming in a couple hours. We're trying to keep a perfect win streak alive in 2025. So I try to give people as much as I can a chance at that presentation. It's usually like, once a week at most that I ever bring it out and talk about it. And you kind of have to be on a Friday to catch it. So if that's you and you're in here and you're not trading weekend options with me yet, you'll get a chance maybe 10 minutes from now to join that and take advantage of it. So just keep an eye out for that, because a lot of times it'll be like, we'll play it quickly on a Friday. By the time Monday rolls around, someone will ask, hey, what about weekend options? We did it on Friday. You might have missed your chance. So just stay tuned for that if you're not trading weekend options yet. But go ahead, Dave. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, for the handful of people that have posted something about the trades that we took in closing playbook last night, just want to reiterate that those are very speculative, kind of higher risk trades that we're taking. And particularly if you're not taking all of them as a group, then you're kind of missing out on the concept of it just being kind of a numbers game and things going up on Friday for a majority of tickers. If you just take 1 or 2, you're probably not playing it right, but also, don't take any if you're not in a really speculative position. So, I mean, nobody's really, I don't think, actually complaining in the chat, but just mentioning that a lot of them are down today. If you're new and you're not looking to be really kind of just throwing stuff at the dartboard and seeing what sticks, then the shotgun trades are not the thing you should be doing. You should be doing the programs that are well researched and have a track record and stuff like that. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but
no, I didn't even know that they were down, to be honest with you. Okay. I haven't looked. Let me see.
So a few of them are. I think people also get in at very different prices at the last 10 minutes of the day.
I think we're about break even.
I just but what I'm saying is if they didn't take all of them, some people only take like 1 or 2 of them because that's all they can kind of keep up with. And it's like, it's okay if you can't keep up with everything, but maybe the shotgun trades aren't the thing to just pluck one out and take it.
Dave, I guess I'm a little confused what you're saying. I thought they were all guaranteed winners.
Well, I do have that banner on the bottom that says we promise you'll double your money on these trades. So
Yeah,
you're right. It is
You're
my
joking,
bad.
guys.
It is my bad.
Yeah. So someone asked about overnight options. Really nothing to say on overnight options. It's open. Let's see, we're back about 80 cents below our top line there, but I mean, overnight options, there's really no no management we do for that one. It's just you set the trade, you set your target, and you hope that it hits the target throughout the day. So not a whole lot to do there. Just kind of watching and hope it hits the target. I wish I could give you a more unique point of view. I feel like I'm always just saying simple things like, yeah, just wait. But that really is the whole strategy there.
I think some people are confused between like the kind of letting it ride doesn't just apply to the ones where you're not setting a target. The letting it ride kind of applies either way on some of the spreads where, whether you set a target or whether you didn't, you're not necessarily watching it all day and changing your exits.
Well, yeah, even more so on when you're setting a target, because the ones I'm setting a target on are mechanical strategies that I really don't do anything with. It will either hit the target or we'll lose. So yeah, for those ones, I'm really letting it ride in that sense.
All right, let's see. One or two people, and this was kind of already answered by other members, but do you roll losing trades or do you just let them die? And obviously the answer is just let them die. But I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that.
No, yeah, I'm not a fan of rolling it. I think the idea of rolling a trade can work in a certain set of mechanical strategies. There's maybe 2 or 3 I'm aware of that rolling is part of the structure of the trade. But in general, I would rather not just set up a new trade with new risk because I happen to already be in that trade and losing that trade. I would rather use my new risk allocation for a trade that I actually like and have high conviction.
This question was for Graham specifically about 60 minutes, but I assume it would apply to any of the 4-leg trades that either of you do. Somebody was just asking if you could either talk quickly or maybe leave a video in the members area about when you're closing the whole thing versus when you're closing half and letting the other pair ride.
Yeah, I never close half, so it's I tell people if they want to do that half and half thing, they can. I don't. So the idea there would be like if it jumps up a ton and you basically can get the full profit and be net profitable, you could close one side and then let the other side try to come back. I don't really mess around with that.
I think the question was for me for 60 minute.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I covered in the master class. If you go through the master classes,
he said 4-leg. Wait, whoa! I need to defend myself here. He said 4-leg trades.
I said what I said was that this question was for Graham about 60 minute, but it could apply to either of you with any of the 4-leg trades, and then you just answered the question.
Don't.
But that's okay. You haven't talked much today, so it's fine.
Don't lie to me, Dave.
It's up to you. It's really up to you and your risk preference. I showed you guys the master class. The target is going to give you a better win rate, smoother growth curve. But I also let you guys know in our deep dive most recent upgrades that no target it produces more profit over the long term. So it's up to you, your risk tolerance. I personally, and this is me personally, I have been taking one contract at the target and letting the rest go for full profit. But again, I am Mr. Aggressive. Need my name tag here on the screen. I am okay with the 56-60% win rate on doing that. I know that's an acceptable number to really grow an account over time. Not everybody's like that. A lot of people want a 75-80% win rate. 85% even is how high we've seen it on 60-minute increment. So it just depends what you want. Smoother growth curve, more winners, use the target. If you want to go for those big home runs, you can use you can either do part of your contracts off at the target and then let the rest ride, or you can let the whole thing ride. Again, what I'm doing right now, because I am Mr. Aggressive, is I'm taking one at the target and letting my other contracts ride. Which, to be honest, recently, I mean, I've just hit the last 2, I think, that I let ride, but I think the 3 before it, the target hit, and then my end of day ones did not hit. And I was kind of smacking myself in the face. But that's when I have to go back to the numbers, the math, the probabilities, instead of my emotions and say, okay, I know that over the long haul, this is proven, this works. So I'm just going to let the numbers run themselves. So,
okay. So looking at this this QQQ trade, Graham, we can do 0.5% move for over 50% ROI. What do you think?
for the weekend,
0.5% is not nothing. I mean, that's a decent move on the Qs.
you need to move outside of 0.5%.
Yeah. So I mean, just looking here, you'd basically need it to, come beat these all-time highs by $2 or kind of come back into the low of the open this week or today rather, 597. What do we think?
To be completely honest with you, it's probably not one that I would put a lot of money in.
Although actually, I just realized I have this at the 599, so that's actually more like 0.3% on the upside.
Market maker move is $4, so a little over 0.5%, 4.9.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna do this one. Like Graham said, not gonna put a lot of money into this. By the way, Graham, on a depressing update, I finally got my small account to crawl over 50K on my net liquidity, and then over the course of the last week, I don't know if I just maybe didn't realize or was more aggressive than I wanted, but I ended up having like a decent amount of hedges over the course. I'll throw an XSP hedge in, this SPX, we'll do this Q, we'll do this IWM box trade, and I've cost myself about $2,000 on an otherwise good week. So I don't know how much I actually burned up in hedges, but way more than I realized. So I've now dropped my 50 back to 48 and got to make it back. Just as a Nate small account update. Okay. Let me give you guys this trade. So what this trade is right here is this is a little box trade where we need the Qs to move up $2 or down $3 in order to give us a win by the end of the day on Monday. So this gives you a little weekend protection, but if it just keeps grinding up, should still be in pretty decent shape. So I'm going to type this in, buy to open the September 22 QQQ, and check me on these because these 4-leg trades are hard to type and talk at the same time. Call, sell to open the September 22 QQ 599 call. And then we are buying to open the September 22 QQQ 595 put. And then we are selling to open the September 22 QQQ 594 put. And that debit should be around 65, 66 cents, which gives you over 50% ROI on a pretty darn small move. Okay, so check my numbers there. It's always tough typing out those 4-leg trades in real time. But we'll see if I can get filled for 65 there. Boom, 65. All right, don't use 66. 65 filled right away. So, oh no, it did fill at 66. That's one of those ones where TOS bumped it by a penny right as I was clicking confirm. Cool. So that's our little box trade, just a little bit of a hedge trade. Now, of course, if you want a super high probability trade, then obviously I'm going to recommend weekend options because our official alert on that is coming out here in just a couple of hours. We are undefeated in 2025. Guys, if all you did was take the weekend option trade every week in 2025 with a little compounding, you would be on an absolute tear for the ages on that trade. So hoping to keep that streak alive. And we do, I'm sure some of the people in this chat right now are paid around $2,000 a year for weekend options, but we do try to open the special up on Fridays when we can to make it a lot more affordable if you want to start trading weekend options. So consider that. We'll play that presentation here in just a moment for you. But there's a little Q's kind of box trade, two-way trade, whatever you want to call it. And then the other thing, Graham, that I would be interested in, I'm probably not going to do a trade now, but maybe we'll check it out at closing playbook. Maybe a little Bitcoin, maybe a little Bitcoin action here over the weekend. I think it's quietly started, rounding the curve and making its way up, and a little bit of a pullback today. Maybe try a Graham style trade and go for like a 300% weekend trade on closing playbook with a low amount of risk.
Yeah, that would be fun. Definitely. You posted this trade here, Nate, the QQQ. I don't know if I'm that big of a fan of it, to be honest. I already said that. I mean, sorry to burst your bubble.
Wow, it's harsh.
On that same note, the weekend options that you've been doing, I know the strategy. I know how it works. I'm not going to give it away here. That one I am a big fan of. That one I would definitely go into. It's really great for this current market environment that's very strong and stable. So that is one I would personally, guys, you do whatever you want. Nate, I'm hating on you right now.
I know this is.
I would personally pass on that trade you just posted. Instead, I would focus on the weekend option that'll be coming up and that 100% win rate. I mean, that's a good little bit of confidence there for folks. 2025. It's now September, so 9 months. Perfect win rate. Love it.
Yeah. Someone asked about interactive brokers. By the way, yes, interactive brokers. The trade works and it can close over the weekend, but the brokerage itself is driving me absolutely crazy. They're so brutal to use. The fees are super high. So I've been complaining to Chris Pulver about, because he knows those guys a little bit and got away from them a couple years ago, and we've been lamenting to each other about how brutal their dashboard is to use and stuff. So I have a couple other tricks up my sleeve that I might try with some other things. So anyway, if you guys want to check out weekend options, we'll play that presentation for you. Like I said, try to give you a good deal on it if you want to get in before our next opportunity. For the QQQ trade.
Give me 1 second on that. They gave me the wrong link, so I'm just pulling it up. Sorry.
No worries. On the QQQ trade, someone asked, you can use a target there. It kind of goes into one of the questions we asked earlier about like when to use a target. You can use a target there. If you do use a target, I would probably use like a 90-cent target. But I will typically just wait on it and see how we open on Monday, because it's more of a discretionary, see what happens kind of trade, versus the weekend option that you'll hear about in a minute. Very mechanical, always has a target. So far as hit the target every single time we've placed the trade in 2025, even in spite of some Liberation Day and everything else. We are still crushing it. So pretty awesome on that. And that will definitely use a target. I will give you the target. I will give you the trade with all the details on that one if you want to take advantage of that. We will have closing playbook today. Might do a little Bitcoin trade. Also have a little potential surprise. I haven't worked out the details on that. Last thing I want to mention is, guys, Sunday night, 7 p.m., open for everyone. Really looking forward to seeing you there. We'll talk about that tonight as well. But other than that, take a look at this redacted document, because that is kind of the key behind weekend options.
You want in on the action? Well, it all starts by taking a close look at this redacted document. What you're looking at here is a special perk set up by the Chicago Board of Options Exchange just recently. It's a perk that now allows everyday folks to target extra income over the weekend from any regular brokerage account. Now, I'm talking about payouts that the study shows were worth $1,030 on average in extra income each and every weekend. So this means while the rest of the world is left empty-handed on Saturday and Sunday while the stock market is closed, we have an opportunity to target some extra income over the weekend while still getting the most out of life. Like on August 9th, you could have taken a few minutes to place a quick trade before the weekend, hit the leg for some weekend fun. That's what I'm doing this weekend. And came back Monday with an extra $1,052 sitting in the brokerage account from the weekend income. Then the next weekend came, August 16th. You could have set your trade, caught the classic car show over the weekend, and woke up Monday with the crisp $883 in weekend income. Then a few days go by and you can do it all again. Friday, August 23rd, the next Friday, hit a few buttons on the phone or laptop to get in before the weekend hits. Maybe
that's what I'll be doing this weekend.
There you go. Catch around with golf with some friends. I'm too bad to play golf. I just go to the driving range and that's about it. Try and get past 10 feet. Dinner and live music for the evening, and brunch the next morning. Whatever it is you like to do. When Monday came, Instead of dreading the start of the week, folks could have come back to an extra $1,090 in weekend income. Pretty awesome. Now, before I get carried away, let me be the first person to say this. I'll say it again, said it a few times today. There's nothing guaranteed in the markets. There's no instant income magic pill. Just like with anything in the stock market, there will be winners and losers along the way. That's why for the next few minutes, I want you to forget about being the next overnight millionaire, because financial freedom doesn't happen overnight. It can happen bit by bit, weekend after weekend. And with what my special guest is about to share with you today, well, our hope is that your weekends could be a little more enjoyable, knowing that when Monday hits, we're out of the trade. So think about this. What if there was a way to target an extra $1,030 on average in extra income each and every weekend, all by taking a few minutes to set the position before the weekend hits and clocking out on Monday? Well, thanks to a shocking discovery found inside this special document by today's special guest, it's now possible. So welcome to the quick presentation we're going to have here on weekend options so we can get you set up with the first trade, your first trade to take before the closing bell today. Now, like I mentioned a moment ago, my name is Graham Lindman. You might recognize me from my flagship strategy, the Perfect Apple Trade, which has reached over 100,000 people worldwide, or maybe you've heard of my wrap orders, which has helped folks see doubles in their trading. Now, given my track record, I don't normally take trade recommendations from other people, but the premise of this new way of generating income over the weekend was so different that I had to explore it. It's a legal way to target extra cash over the weekend while most folks are out there making zilch. I don't trade over the weekend. I'm making nothing. So if you're looking for a way to target some extra income to maybe pay for everyday expenses or just boost up the retirement nest egg or just grow the account, that's what I like to do, just grow my account, then this may be perfect for you. Now, the man behind this discovery is no rookie when it comes to the stock market. Not only did he publicly grow a $10,000 stake to north of $50,000 over the course of about 4 months, he did it publicly in Telegram, but he also earned another $100,000 last year in his investment and dividend portfolio alone. And over the last few years, he's been on a mission to help everyday folks tap into the same methods that have been kept away from the average Joe. And just hear some of these stories. These are people who've been taking these weekend options, by the way. Cindy made $1,200 last week. Karen, a winner, as you know, made $1,230. Carl says Nate and his team are doing a tremendous job, up over $4,000. Now, those are some of the stories from students following along with none other than the up-and-coming trading icon,
Wow,
Nate.
trading icon. Wow.
Yeah, and look at that smile. What a good smile there, Nate. Look at that.
Icon. All right. All right. Well, as always, great to be on Opening Playbook and giving out opportunities. And thanks to a huge room today. Love it that you guys are here on a Friday. And today, my goal really is to empower you. That's what my goal is with everything I do, and to show you after just a couple minutes and a couple clicks inside your brokerage account, you really can start targeting your very own weekend cash flow from the stock market, something that I had never done until recently. One that shows the power to pay $1,030 on average each weekend. There's an opportunity. And the timing for this brand new briefing couldn't be any better. Right now, we all know some of the hardest times for folks getting hit with inflation. Costs keep going up. Savings are at the lowest level since 2008. And even if you got a raise last year, as I always say, probably doesn't feel like it. It probably isn't making much of a difference at the end of the day. Thanks to inflation, we're seeing things like credit card debt hit all-time highs, highest since 2008, highest ever, some reports. And that's left folks looking anywhere they can to generate extra income to cover the bills. It's almost impossible to keep up with the ever-rising cost of living anymore, especially when my wife's buying $10 organic milk by the gallon. It's unbelievable. And most folks think that the only way to generate extra income is by picking up a second job at Costco or working overtime hours and late weekend nights. But with what I'm about to share, and my true hope is that you can start targeting your very own weekend cash flow right from the comfort of your sofa or your living room or your RV or whatever it is. And right now, like I said, everyone could use some extra cash flow. Doesn't matter if you have a multi-million-dollar retirement account or just starting out with a few $1,000s. All you need is a standard brokerage account, internet connection, or just, service on your cell phone, and a few minutes to set the trade before the weekend every Friday. In just a few minutes, I'm going to help you get started with your first chance at weekend cash flow. Before we get there, let's take a walk back down memory lane here, going back to September of last year. Now, going in the month of September, the stock market took a pretty ugly hit. I'm sure you guys remember what August looked like last year. Let's say someone had $5,000 invested, which is the amount we'll use for all the trade examples that we go through today. At the beginning of September, the S&P was already in the middle of a pretty ugly fall. Folks taking that trusty buy and hold route would have been down about $204 by the first, week there just in September. But if you'd have went with the weekend cash flow method instead, very different story for the first week of September. While the S&P 500 was plummeting, you could have actually ended up with a $3,039 trade over the weekend. That's a juicy one there. And when the next weekend rolled, not much different. Weekend of September 16th, the market, gold, Bitcoin, all flat over the weekend, really earning next to nothing as you're holding anything. But with what I'm going to show you today, using that same weekend, you could have actually hit it out of the park on this particular trade. In this case, by Monday morning, would have had another $803 sitting in your account on September 16th.
That's awesome. Nate, between those two trades alone, we're looking at $3,842 in extra income. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, an extra $3,800, especially after just 2 weekends, that's a meaningful chunk of change. Since the pandemic, we've seen this. The cost of living has gone skyward, out of control. Housing prices are ridiculous. We've watched
They are ridiculous.
Average cost of a new mortgage went from $1,400 a month to $2,317 a month. That's a huge, huge difference. It's $900 more every single month. And it's not like people have a lot of extra change laying around to cover the difference, not unless you're sitting on a pretty good nest egg to begin with. And wouldn't you much rather invest that $900 a month than blow it on a mortgage? It's just painful. But folks who would have taken advantage of the weekend cash flow method could have more than covered the cost of the average monthly mortgage without needing to slave away at a desk job, working extra hours to make it happen. Said you could have done it all while enjoying life to the fullest over the weekend. Maybe you live by the beach and you can go hit a hammock like this guy. And keep in mind that $3,842 would have come while every major index, crypto, and even bonds were in the toilet. So, Nate, can you share a little bit more about how this is all possible?
All right, absolutely. First, let me just be clear about this. If you have a job, I'm certainly not telling you to quit it. If you've been steadily saving for retirement, like I know most of you in here are, please don't stop doing that. What I'm sharing today, like almost everything I do, is meant to help supplement your income. Okay, so this is an edge that's meant to add to what you're doing. And it's using a technique that I really don't think anyone else is using for these weekend opportunities. And if you're here right now, you're probably a pretty smart individual. Hopefully all of our people are. And you know what I'm about to say next, which is that there's always risk in any strategy, winning weeks and losing weeks. That's why we worked extra hard to optimize the method that's producing this weekend cash flow. Now, of course, no one can guarantee future returns. But the cool thing is when you account for all of the weekends, okay, so winners and losers included from our entire study, we're looking at what could have been an extra $1,030 in extra income each weekend. We've had an opportunity going all the way back through our study, just like the next weekend, September 20th. Had you taken a few minutes to place the trade before the markets closed on Friday, just like we'll do today, you could have headed out to catch your favorite team playing on Saturday, then relaxed a bit on Sunday. That was a great game, by the way. We crushed SMU. Yeah.
Nice hat.
It was like literally 5 degrees. And then come back after the weekend, after crushing SMU in a college playoff game, to a nice $847 sitting there. No offense to SMU fans. They're actually a great school, but it was great to see them crush them. Anyway, following weekend, we had September 27th. Maybe place a quick trade from the phone. We're playing some golf, getting out there on the course early on a Friday, which I was hoping to do today. We'll see. And then hit another $1,000 by the time Monday rolled around.
Nate, let me just pause you again real quick. Showed us a couple more awesome trades. Now, the average household, to go back on this, $5,000 a month in expenses. And I think that's a pretty good, I know my household is slightly over that amount.
Slightly. I wish my house was $5,000.
Yeah. Now, I'm talking about things like healthcare, food, transportation, clothing, electricity, just the bare necessities. Meanwhile, the average monthly income in the U.S. really hasn't grown that much over the last few years, $4,340 a month. Now, if you look at that, you can do quick math and say, this doesn't really add up. People can't really keep up. It's mathematically impossible, and it's a huge income gap many folks can't fill right now. And maybe, I hope no one here is feeling super behind, but maybe you just feel like you can't save as much, and that's a big deal. But your weekend cash flow method could help everyday people help fill the income gap and then some, hopefully grow their income. In the month of September alone, with the trades that happened back to back to back, we're looking at what could have been more than the average Joe brings in each month. So 1 month with the weekend cash flow, $5,667. Pretty awesome. And in this example for that month, more than enough to cover the average monthly expenses, meaning the money that you worked your tail off to earn, that paycheck you're getting, you can actually use it for things you want to spend it on instead of just, sending it out to pay the electricity bill or maybe just building up the rainy day fund.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm so excited. And by the way, that's based on the $5,000 per trade, but you can trade these with much less if you want. So I think it's for anyone and everyone, and that's why I've been so excited about this project. So I want to show you how to actually unlock this opportunity hidden within what the CBOE did just recently, so that you can take advantage of this consistent weekend cash flow right away, starting literally today. And based on my research, you're not going to be able to target these types of steady returns really anywhere else. It really is unique to the weekend. Most financial advisors or your local finance guru might lead you to think that the only way to hit your retirement goal is going to be to stash away money in the trusty S&P, which, no offense to the S&P, it's great, or mutual funds, and then just hope that you have enough time and good enough returns where you can retire. Just cross your fingers and hope for the best. But unfortunately, that's really not getting the job done anymore for most people. And we heard so many stories recently of people saying exactly this. 6% annually, it's going to take you 41 years to turn $100,000 into, $1 million where you can hopefully retire. And by the way, you probably can't. Like Citizens Bank said, you'll need a whole lot more than just the $1 million if you want to retire comfortably. They suggested 1.8 million is now the average to retire comfortably in the US, which is nearly twice as much money all of a sudden as you need, which is why millions of people, young and old, have been forced to delay their retirement. That stat's pretty sad. They're about 40% of people heading back to the workforce. So forget about retiring at 65. I mean, most folks are going to be into their 70s, and a lot of people into their 80s. And that's why, whether you're retired or just starting out, hopefully this catches your attention today about trying to build some extra cash flow, fill that gap, and figure out a more active way to get ahead, which is what my goal is, and hopefully targeting extra income over the weekend. While most folks are left without a way to earn an extra buck from the markets, helps get you there. So far, the results have been absolutely outstanding. Success rate north of 90% from the study. 9 out of 10 so far going all the way back, and 10 out of 10 so far on the live money trades, which means we can target this weekend income regardless if the stock market goes up, down, or flat. So take the first week of December, for example. First week, the market was flat. Okay, see there it started up, bopped down, finished flat, $1,929 in weekend income. Then we had the next weekend where the market moved up. That one still worked beautifully, $775 there right before Christmas. And each weekend we have the same opportunity. Like the very next weekend when the stock market actually went quite a bit down, this one was the 27th through the 30th, still would have had a really nice payout, $1,037. And as I'll show you, thanks to a special type of trade over the weekend, we're actually able to collect even if the market does go slightly against us.
Well, Nate, in the case of these December examples, we could have a chance to pocket extra income over the weekend, regardless if they were flat, up, or down. And again, like I said, 2025 has been one of the most volatile years, and you're hitting with a 100% win rate. So clearly this is working in all directions. And keep in mind, folks, you could have spent the weekend doing some things you love to do, like Nate. Maybe that means taking your kids or grandkids to the ballpark, checking out some national parks over the weekend. Or maybe it means coming down to one of Nate's world-class coaching sessions to hang out with other awesome traders just like you. However, you choose to spend your weekend, that's your choice, knowing that Monday has just become your new favorite day of the week. So, Nate, go ahead, spill the beans. What's making this all possible?
Well, like we said, it's all about what the CBOE has allowed us to do pretty recently now in this document. In fact, up to this announcement, the weekend cash flow opportunity literally was impossible to trade. You and I could not do this trade from regular brokerage, but now they've unlocked it for the everyday Joe for years and years to come. What the CBOE did was that they launched daily options on a few tickers that we can now target income over the weekend. Literally didn't exist before. And don't worry, you have access, if you guys don't know, in your regular brokerage account. They're already listed there for you. Now, these daily options allow us to specifically target income over the weekend, closing out on Monday, which is super important. If everything works out, we have a chance to target, about $1,030 by the time Monday hits. Just like the first weekend of 2025 that you were just referencing, all we had to do was make sure the trade was set January 3rd before the market closed for the weekend. Sure enough, by the time Monday hit and the cash fund settled, it would have been another winner in the books, $2,807 on that one. And don't worry, placing your trade with weekend cash flow is no different than trading, Apple, Amazon, anything else.
Well, Nate, I love this strategy. And I mean, this weekend income seems so predictable. You've been hitting with a 100% win rate. Is it even possible to lose?
Yeah, obviously, yes. We always have to be clear and bang this drum a lot of times. No strategy wins all the time. I love the weekend option. I've been trading with a little more capital, but I'm not going to go all in on one trade. I expect that eventually we'll take a loss. So my goal is to do everything in my power to limit those losses because I'm trading these with my own money. Who wants to take a losing trade, right? So we worked incredibly hard to try to perfect this method for both the good times and the bad. Actually, Graham even helped with some of the reporting there. And I'm happy to report that after analyzing 2 years of data, the final study shows incredible returns. Small account friendly, average position about $200, actually about $180. $1,030 is the average payout. So that's based on $5,000 stake. So, about around a 20% ROI over.
And that's winners and losers.
That's winners and losers. So about a 20% average ROI. What Graham was talking about, how much can you rack up ROI? Well, that's 20% in one market session on average. Pretty crazy average return if you do the math on that. And then my favorite part, of course, is that really high win rate because it's nice going into a trade expecting to win when it settles.
Well, Nate, those are some remarkable results, but you're being a little bit too humble here because, well, you forgot to mention that so far you said 94% win rate. Well, so far in the live publicly shares trades, you are undefeated. And folks following along with the weekend cash flow method, they are loving it. Listen to these people. Dan J says, I love that the S&P doesn't have to be positive for the trade to work. He's 4-0 on the weekend trades. Thanks for all your input. Steve has done it twice, 2 wins, $900 in the bank. Linda says, perfect. She went in with $350 and it closed automatically while she was prepping lunches for the kids. Simple and perfect. Thank you. Emery did 30 contracts, made $1,629 over one weekend. Carrie says, keep up the great work. He made $1,700 over a weekend. So people are loving it. People are making money. Nate, tell everyone here, how does this really work?
Okay, so first, and I say this all the time, you have to understand when people talk about options, usually the default is to think about buying options. But instead of just buying options outright, like most people do, most people are stuck with level 1 access. I use a special type of trade on these daily options to collect premiums on other people's risky bets. And no, it's not naked options. We're not open-ended risk. So think about all the massive insurance companies out there like Allstate or Progressive, some of the best companies in the world. All they do is sit back and collect insurance premiums month after month after month. We're doing the exact same thing, but just in the stock market, taking a weekend paycheck by collecting premiums on all the other people who are taking those risky bets time and time again. But the way I collect these premiums is very unique based on what we figured out from the weekend. So when the CBOE listed these daily options, all expirations Monday through Friday, they calculated a standard amount of premium for each day. If you're entering on Monday, looking to, take advantage of those Tuesday premiums, you're going to collect 1 day worth of premium. If you're entering on Tuesday, collecting income from the Wednesday option, obviously you're collecting 1 day worth of premium, so on and so forth. Each day has a premium. Now, most people do this because it's easy and simple, but they don't realize how much money they could be leaving on the table because, frankly, there's a better and safer way to do it. You see, by entering before the weekend, so that's on the Friday, and then collecting the Monday income, okay, the ones expiring on Monday, we're getting the bonus premiums from holding it over the weekend, which is like instantly tripling the amount of premium that you can target in the same situation. And because the market is closed on Saturday and Sunday, we're actually able to sidestep a lot of the market action, even though it's priced into those options, and still get paid for all 3 days of holding the trade. Just like January 10th, the very next weekend from where we left off, you could have spent your week, staring at charts, banging your head against a brick wall, trying to find an edge, figure out what's going to happen over the weekend. Or you could have taken 2 minutes, place the trade, go for those bonus weekends over the weekend on Friday, and then got off and hopefully actually enjoyed your weekend instead of panicking about your open positions. And sure enough, while most folks lost money that particular weekend as the S&P went down, the weekend cash flow method would have pocketed another $1,057 winner over that same exact weekend. Now, of course, you can't go blindly pick options to make this happen. If that were the case, I think everyone would have figured it out by now. I'll just trade every Friday and I'm going to be rich. You have to know which trades you're going to place. And I'm going to show you everything you need to know to start targeting your very own weekend cash flow right away. Because right now, I'm pretty sure everyone can use extra cash flow like we started talking about at the beginning. Doesn't matter where you live, who you have a brokerage account with, whether you've been trading for a decade like I have, or you're just getting started, does not matter because I put together a step-by-step workshop that shows you exactly how you can get started with weekend options, taking advantage of this weekend cash flow. It includes full details from how to place your first trade, how to upgrade your account for options, how to manage your risk so that you can start using the technique in your account today. And I'd like to invite you to access the workshop today and get your hands on it before the weekend actually hits so that you can start taking advantage of this weekend cash flow right away. And once you get your hands on the step-by-step course, you'll be shocked at how clear-cut it really is. I mean, it really is straightforward and simple once you get the strategy. You'll immediately be able to start using it this very weekend, just like you could have done on February 21st as we keep rolling through these 2025 examples. After just a few buttons, you could have locked and loaded the trade for the weekend and just selected the trade, send it off, and go back to your normal day. Like I said, hopefully enjoy the weekend a little bit. And sure enough, by the time Monday rolled around, another beauty here, $1,491 would have hit the account, by the way, automatically with the way that we do these trades.
That's amazing. And any regular brokerage account does work, right?
Of course. In fact, the government even allows this unique strategy in retirement accounts. Got to have, your options permissions, but you can do it in any kind of account.
Well, Nate, I have to tell you, this weekend cash flow method is something that I definitely want to start trying right away. In fact, I've been doing it for a couple of weekends now, Nate, and I'm excited for this new trade. And the stories from your students following along are nothing short of remarkable. Mike P's taken 3 trades, all winners. Doug says, I played both trades since joining. He's made $1,090. Fossa says, low risk, high reward. Have taken all 3 of the weekend options trades and have been profitable. Thanks. Kurt M's been a subscriber for 3 weeks. He's had 4 trades and 4 wins. Craig started his month with $3,000, and using the weekend options, his balance has grown to $7,480 for the month.
Yeah, I love the stories, Craig, Kurt, Doug, and I think we've had about 400 others so far from people tapping into the opportunity over the weekend, most folks who had never traded over a weekend. And that's why I agreed to do this again, to make sure as many people can get in before this very weekend and show you how to start using the weekend cash flow method, not just this weekend, but every weekend to boost their income potential. So today you can claim access to the workshop and start implementing this unique strategy in your own account just by subscribing to our weekend income service, what I call weekend options, and have that beautiful beach there that we saw some guys at the hammock enjoying, which is what I hope you guys are doing on your weekend. Now, this service is solely dedicated to targeting extra income over the weekend. It's the only thing we do in this service is target that extra income over the weekend, thanks to that special perk set up by the CBOE too long ago, and one that has shown the power to pay $1,030 on average in extra income each weekend that there's an opportunity. Now, today, I'm hoping about 50 new people join from all walks of life. We've got plenty of people in here to hit our goal, whether you've been investing for years or you're just getting started. Every single week, I'm going to give you my best weekend income opportunity, one that I personally recommend to friends and family, one that I trade with my own money, and each one based on the same method that our study shows that paid $1,030 on average, winners and losers each weekend. There's a setup. Now, I'm holding nothing back. Every alert, like all the stuff that I do, it breaks it down for you step by step by step. The ticker, when to place the trade, the options criteria, entry, exit. Guys, it is all in there packaged up in the alert. Each income alert has clear instructions on how to place the trade. Guys, I'm doing all the heavy work because I'm trading these myself. Okay, so I'm just doing all the heavy lifting, find the trade, and packaging it up. And then you'll just read the alert and follow along if you want to any given weekend. Just like if we keep rolling along here, we got our next weekend, February 28th. I would have sent the alert right to your inbox right at the end of the day on Friday. Had you taken the trade, you could have spent your weekend, hopefully, working on your short game, which I desperately need to do. Maybe practicing for the next pickleball tournament. Graham, we actually put a pickleball court here at the compound.
Oh boy.
We were playing the other day. So great thing to do. And by the time Monday hit, whether you were playing pickleball, working on your short game, or just hanging out, I would have had an extra $929 sitting in the account. And don't feel like you need to be sitting next to your computer all day long either. Actually, one of my favorite things about this trade is it's so repeatable. Comes out each Friday right around 3 p.m. So you know when to check for the alert. You're not busy, waiting and hoping. You know exactly when it's going to come. And I want your experience with weekend options to be as hands-free as possible. Now, alongside the email alerts, you're also going to get a cell phone text, a telegram alert, just so that even if you're out and about, you can always take advantage of that weekend trade. Maybe you're on the golf course. You want to get that trade and make sure you don't miss it. And just to make it even better, we also have a little perk built in here with the extended hours. So I'm using weekend options on tickers that we can trade beyond the market close. And I'll talk through that in that members class if you go watch it right now, which talks about how that extra 15 minutes after the market closes is a nice little bonus that we get ramping up our opportunity over every weekend trade we take.
Awesome. So you don't have to rush in. You know what to expect. Every Friday, 3 p.m. Guys, look at your calendar right now. What day is it today? It's here. It's time for the next one. Nate, I love how easy you've made this for the new members, and your students love these opportunities. Drell, here's what he said about the alerts. Love the worry-free, good to cancel targets for double-digit singles versus anxiety-producing swings for the fences. I do like having that set time to look for your recommendation. Greg G wrote in, he's enjoying that 100% win rate so far. He said, I love how clear your instructions are. They're easy to follow. And just by looking at the performance so far, this program is worth its weight in gold. I mean, this strategy is so good that it hasn't seen a single loser in over 6 months. And guys, think about that. Think about the first 6 months of this year. Wasn't there some losing going on? Wasn't there some crazy time? This one hasn't seen a loser in over 6 months. And it's not like you're going for measly returns here either. Folks, look at how some of the months stacked up. November with the 3 trades, $2,320. December, 3 more trades, $3,743. January, you had one every single weekend. So 4 for 4 there, $5,667. February, you had 3 weekends, $5,009. And there, we can go on and on because the more recent trades, the ones you've been sharing publicly with your students, you've maintained that perfect win streak, 100% win rate through March, April, May, and so far in June. And this isn't like missing out on Amazon in 1999. These are opportunities that just happen. So Nate, I have to know, will the new membership cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year?
Well, obviously, with our strategy and our win rate so far, I think it's worth whatever price we put on it. 5, 6. I don't know. What's a perfect win rate worth to you, I guess. But before we talk price, I actually want to highlight maybe one of the biggest benefits of being a member of Weekend Options. Something that we really didn't talk a lot, but I think it takes Weekend Options to a whole new level. Now, while we normally target extra income over the weekend, closing out on Monday, that's what you've heard all these examples. Sometimes the trade is so good, we actually get paid before the weekend even hits, which are certainly my favorite trades. So this happened, for example, on May 31st. So we put the trade on May 31st with that, looking to close out on Monday, and it actually paid us that same day on Friday before the market even closed, $818. Okay, then we had one for Friday, July 28th. That was last year. Same thing, $909 paid the same day. Or March 7th, $943, same thing. So imagine having gone into the weekend. You already have the cash in hand. You're not even waiting to see what happens over the weekend. And some of the folks in here don't have to imagine. They actually experienced this pretty recently with one of our trades. Won the trade, got in, won it on Friday, hit the target early. Those are from people who took the trade on Friday and before the weekend even started, already had their cash locked in, which that doesn't always happen, but it sure is a lot of fun. Now, anyone out there who would have loved to head into the next weekend with an extra $943 in your pocket, well, I've got another special little bonus here for you, which is the early payday plan. So inside this, I'm going to show you how to set your profit targets so that you can be in position to do just that, automatically close out as soon as we hit our goal on the trade. So you can set the trade, walk away, actually try to enjoy your weekend, and I'll include the exclusive information on how to automatically help protect against downside risk as well.
Nate, this is really, really awesome. This membership is special. And again, we've shown you guys like a dozen stories today of people loving the results. We've had about a dozen people post in the chat here about how they're loving the trades as well. And here's some more. Aaron made $813. Bill made $957. This is just one weekend trade. Cody said easy to follow in the weekend trade, not $1,140. Jeff's been stacking them up. He's using the weekend options, made $7,800 so far.
Yeah, it's truly remarkable. I mean, it's awesome to see real people actually make money with an idea versus just a theoretical. And of course, regardless of how good the research results are, never risk more than you can afford. All that good stuff still applies. Luckily, you don't have to, because even though we're using like a 5K average example, you can take a trade with about 130 to 180 bucks on average for any given trade. So if you're starting small, absolutely, that's okay. You saw a couple people starting with small accounts doing great. Whether you're starting with $1,000 or $1 million, hopefully you can start by focusing on the process and the understanding, and then stack it up over time, getting the hang of these straightforward weekend option opportunities. You can always start small and scale up over time. And that's why it doesn't matter who you are, young or old, as I always say. You've been trading for 10 years, just a few months. Maybe this is your first opening playbook session. Today, I want to invite folks from all walks of life to be one of those next 50 members to jump in before our weekend here kicks off. And based on the last 4 trades, we've taken the membership, all of which happened just 1 month, 781, 1,031, 1,849. You're looking at $7,500 a year if you just wanted to price it for like a reasonable 2-month price to get paid back. Pretty crazy. But for new members today, obviously not going to cost anything near that. I'm hoping to bring in 50 new people at a steep discount and get you in on this weekend options opportunity with a brand new opportunity that hits, every single Friday just before the weekend hits, right around 3 p.m. And you know exactly when to expect it.
Nate, I love it. And we've had over 400 people, almost 500 people in here today. 50 spots. They're going to go fast. So what's the price? $5,000 per year?
Well, obviously you could forget about paying $5,000, forget about even $4,000. You guys know the drill. I'm going to try to give you the best opportunity possible. So if you want to join, we have an official price of $29.93 per year. That's less than the average month's return. But if you're watching the webinar, if you're here today, you're going to get a way better deal than that, as I always try to do. After analyzing nearly 100 trade opportunities across all different markets, 2025, great example. I've been blown away by the results of weekend options. If you stack up all the trade examples, winning and losing trades. Now, we talked about, can you start small? Guys, check this out. If you start with a tiny $1,000 account after 2 years and you reinvested aggressively, you put 33% into each new opportunity over that time, you would have gone from $1,000 stake to $70,000 in profit. That's crazy.
That's some tiny account scaling right there.
Yeah. Now let me say it again. By the way, being aggressive here. So you're starting $1,000. You're putting a third of the portfolio. You square off a small chunk of portfolio. Be aggressive with it. Since January of 2023, you would have ended up at over $70,000 in weekend payouts. Pretty crazy. So what if you start with twice that much? Well, you'd be deep into the six figures compounding into that. And that brings me to the first bonus here. So first of all, we have our weekend option discount. Now, this is based on the fact that over and over and over again, the average has been about $1,030 in weekend income each time there's a setup. So just to reward folks who take action, the ones who see an opportunity, don't hesitate when to get in before today's trade. We have the early access member bonus starting now. Instead of charging $29.93, you're going to get the $1,030 right off, which takes it down to $1,963 for your first year. And I know that, $1,963, pretty phenomenal value given what our track records look like so far. But I'm going to do everything in my power to give you the most cash flow opportunities possible. And that brings me to our second bonus, which is that you're going to get the double bonus, which means if you're one of the first 50 in the door today, I'm actually going to cover the first year of membership access, which means when you join for $1,963, your membership isn't going to actually start ticking until 2026. So the first year going to be on the house. You're going to get access for 2 full years for $1,963.
Nate, you just said it, but this keeps getting better and better. This is like getting the first full year of trades absolutely free. You're getting a 2-for-1 deal. And each and every trade alert is backed with a proven track record of paying right around $1,000 each time they hit. And I'm just thinking back to the 4 recent trades from the weekend options that hit, one that you sent out to members in real time. We had a lot of people in the chat talking about how they took them. That could have been a shot at $4,530 in one single month of trade alerts, $4,500 in a month. And keep in mind, these aren't from a back test. These aren't theoretical. These are the real-time results from the trades shared and published. Now, all in all, that would have been more than enough to recoup the cost of the subscription in just 1 month and have $2,567 in profit left over. That's not bad.
Yeah, and that's always my goal, to help folks, get ahead of that subscription cost, cover it as quickly as possible, and get into the gravy.
And Nate, you've had tons of people do that before. Jeffrey made back the subscription cost in his first trade. Tim doubled the cost of the program. Nice job, Tim. Keep it up. Ernie says, after 4 trades, I've already made enough to more than pay for 4 lifetime memberships. That's the more advanced membership there. Ernie's paid it off 4 times. Now that's really something.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going for, is for people to get into that gravy as quickly as possible. So if you join today, right here in this room, literally right now, you're going to get access to the all new weekend options, which is not all new now because we've got 10 winners under our belt, but only $1,963 gets you 2 years of access. So of course you still got to join today, still got to lock it in today, but your membership won't even start ticking until next year. Kind of get that first year on the house, but obviously limited time special. We're going to give it up, about the first 50 people are guaranteed. We'll see what happens if we fill beyond that. And I think the spots will fill pretty quick. So if you want to take action, get our next opportunity and put weekend options to work for you every weekend for the next 2 years, then be one of the first 50 in the door today at that discounted price. First come, first serve. Click the link in the chat. Gets you in at under $1,000 a year on a perfect win rate strategy so far. Or go to prosperitypub.com playbook.com/WKO. As always, you can call our team 904-706-3537. Get your hands on today's new opportunity and 2 years of opportunities with weekend options.
Awesome. And Nate, I know you said this 2-year deal is good for 50 people. We've had over almost 500 people here today. You brought it back a few months, maybe 6 weeks ago, filled it up real fast. Then I'm sure these spots are going to go quick, and the timing is perfect, Nate. We got that new trade coming up today, 3 p.m., right? That's the time for the trade, 3 p.m.?
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
awesome.
I'll get out between 2:50 and 3:10. So pretty tight window there that you're looking for an opportunity.
So that gives you a full hour, guys, to get your trade set before the weekend on a pretty sweet strategy that's hit with a 100% win rate so far. So, Nate, what will the next trade look like?
Well, obviously, only the members will know here in about, 3 hours. And, I'm not going to promise any future gains. Obviously, we've had a great run. I mean, you can see how consistent the weekend options have been so far. We've racked up just from the live trades, $7,454 in the model portfolio. Pretty phenomenal so far. And remember, we're going after those bonus premiums. So this entire strategy is dedicated to that Friday opportunity every week if it triggers, and then targeting that weekend income. Because the markets close on Saturday and Sunday, we actually sidestep a lot of the market action. It's actually, yes, the weekend can sometimes move. Obviously, you have weekend gaps, but it's actually one of the tricky things that most people don't realize. The weekends in general move way less than people realize. So you're sidestepping a lot of that and still getting paid for the volatility they have to bake in. Look at December here, for example. First weekend, market was totally flat. Still hit a really nice winner on that one. Then we got to the next weekend when the market was going up, $775 on that one. Each weekend, same opportunity, just rinse and repeat as long as the opportunity triggers. And this time the market fell down, and we still would have got $1,037 in that weekend. So don't miss the next one. This is what we do every single time there's a trigger, which there will be today. Like I said, in a couple hours here. Lock in. Make sure you're one of the first 50 in the door there. prosperitypub.com/WKO. Call our team, or easiest thing to do is just click that link in the chat. If you click that link that Raleigh posted, thank you, Raleigh, for posting that link. Click that link in the chat. What it's going to do is it's going to load up the page for you to lock in the 2-year discount, and it's already in there. So that special link already has that link or that discount baked in there as soon as you open it up.
Yeah, and Nate, like you said, with this 2-year special, it's like under $1,000 a year. I know a lot of our people charging $2,500 a year for their subscription, under $1,000 a year when you break down the math there. But now it's time for you to make your decision, because I know we've got a lot of spots filling up. Again, almost 500 people today. Open up 50 spots for this weekend trade today. So what are you going to do? You've seen the data. You've seen the results. What's your choice? Will you take action and jump in on the new trade? Well, I'm about to show you a whole bunch of people who have been taking action. They have been jumping in. They've been loving it. Karen made $1,230, a winner, as you know. Carrie took action here. Keep up the great work. $1,700 over the weekend. Dan J, he didn't just take action once. He's done it 4-0. 4 for 4 on the weekend trades. Loves that it doesn't have to be positive. The markets don't have to move higher for the trade to work. Steve's 2 for 2, about $900. Cindy, $1,200 in profits over one weekend. Carl's taken a few. He's up over $4,000. Mike's taken 3. All of them have been winners for Mike. Doug's placed 2 trades. He's up $1,090. Afasa says it's low risk, high reward. It's taken 3 of the weekend options. All have been profitable. Kurt's 4 for 4. Craig here's from $3K up to $7,480 in a month. So about, what is that, $4,500 we'll call it in 1 month. That's enough to pay off the membership and have $2,500 left over for Craig. Jeff up $7,800. He could pay that membership off about 4 times over, so he could get himself an 8-year deal. Jeffrey here came back, made the subscription in the first trade, guys. Click that link in the chat to get started right now. Again, that new trade's coming up. We are doing this 2-year deal for the first 50 who joined today. If you're the 51st, you'll probably be able to pay $1,936, or $1,963, but it'll probably be a 1-year access. So if you want that 2-for-1 deal, click that link in the chat to get started. Now we've got about 15 people asking here, is there a lifetime? Yes, guys.
Yes. On the next page, you can upgrade. It's even crazier because it's less than 1 year to join. And by the way, as a lifetime member, you also get access to another little special bonus, something that quite literally is not published anywhere else. It's called the Double Dip Weekend Options. So this is a lifetime members only special that I put together, which actually walks you through another weekend trade where you can target about 2 to 3 times as much potential if you kind of double dip and stack it on. Now, it is a little bit more of an advanced play, so you might want to get comfortable with weekend options, and then use it. But what you'll see is if you kind of double dip and stack it on, it's another high win rate strategy that can really max out the gains. And that bonus is only available if you want to get VIP, because I always like to do something a little extra for my VIP, my lifetime members. And so if you want to lock that in, you'll get access to that special bonus report as well. Just a report. It doesn't come with separate alerts or anything, but it walks you through step by step exactly how to do it if you want to add on that trade over the weekend. Another weekend strategy that I like.
Awesome. Now, I know we've got a lot of questions here in the chat, and guys, feel free to post your questions now. Nate, let me ask you a few common questions, and then we'll dive into these questions popping up in the chat. How much money is needed?
Yeah, so the average trade here is gonna be around $2. I think 180 was our most recent average on the live trade. So obviously very affordable. You can trade 1 contract, 2 contracts, trading the most liquid instruments out there. So you can trade 500 contracts. It really is up to you.
Awesome. Is this day trading? Do I need to worry about having a big pattern day trading rule?
No, absolutely not. So again, we're trading on Friday. We're looking for the market to close us out on Monday. So it's not going to be a day trade. However, every once in a while, we get a trade that works so hot that Friday we put it on, 245, 250, and at 4 p.m. we've already hit our target. Now, if that happens, great, we'll take it. We'll love, the fact that we're out early. If that happens to you and you don't want a day trade, all you got to do is not set up your target until later. So if you want to avoid it, now I don't think you should avoid it, because I think if you get 1 day trade every 2 months, who cares? Take the money. But if you're really worried, you don't want to get any day trades, really easy to avoid.
Awesome. Should I be concerned about a bear market? I know we had some people here saying but big news can break over the weekend.
Yeah, obviously, I am concerned that after, Graham and I both think we're going to get a pretty good July here, the next 6 months could be pretty dicey. But we're not worried about what the market's doing week to week or what the trend is doing. We're targeting just that weekend opportunity when it aligns with all of our filters and the market is closed. So far, we're doing great in 2025. Not going to guarantee that we have a perfect track record all of 2025, obviously. But a big part of this is that we're actually sidestepping most of that market action.
And I don't want to spoil too much here, but there is a filter you use, right, that helps you avoid some of those more volatile weekends. I mean, think about the weekend news that we've seen in 2025. We've had tariffs. We had the DeepSeek China AI thing where the market's bombed out. We had wars. We've had all sorts of crazy stuff. And yet, you still have a perfect win rate so far in 2025. And actually, this number's out of date. Let me give you the new number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 for 17 in 2025. So keep in mind, we've had some of the craziest news events that we've seen in years, 17 for 17 in 2025, which, I mean, obviously that's why your long-term results have been so good. Again, guys, small account friendly. You don't need a big account. $1,030 on average. We talked about this yesterday. Don't let anyone just show you the average winner. That means nothing. But when you're seeing winners and losers averaged out, that's when you can see the scalability. It's about 20% per weekend. There's a 94.8% success rate. So Nate, you are doing a great job here. And again, 17 for 17 during probably the most volatile year we've seen since maybe COVID. This is awesome. Can I trade this in a regular brokerage account, IRA, 401k?
Yep, it's risk defined. Any regular broker can do this. You got to get your permissions to trade options, but otherwise, you are good to go. We're not taking open-ended risk or anything like that.
Awesome. The next weekend options trade.
Well, obviously, we will be sharing that here in a couple hours with our new members, which I'm pretty excited about.
Awesome. How do we close the trade?
Great question. So what we do is we have that automated exit. So as soon as we get filled on the trade, we're going to set up our exit, and then you can walk away. You can shut your computer, not worry about it. That exit is set up. The broker is going to automatically take you out as soon as your target hits. And so you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to wait for an exit alert from me. You don't have to do anything. You just let the market go to work and hopefully hit another winner like we have a lot lately.
Awesome. Is there any sort of guarantee with this program?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are calm and don't like what you see, you can get a 14-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. I'm not going to hold anyone hostage if they come in, they join the masterclass, they try a few weekends, and they're not excited. Obviously, my goal here is that not only do people not want a refund, they want to join lifetime as soon as they get a couple of trades under their belt because they love it. And that's what most of my members would tell you so far. But of course, you'll get all the training, all the stuff, see how the trades work. And if you're not excited about it, no worries.
Awesome. Do I have to be glued to the computer to take these entries and exits?
Honestly, probably about the easiest strategy there is to manage because the entries are going to come right at the same time every week, right? 3 to 3:30. I should say probably 2:45 to 3:10 would be a better range. So right at the end of the day, you kind of know exactly when it's going to come out. And then the exits, you don't have to do anything. You literally set them up as soon as we enter the trade, and there's no requirement, no extra steps needed for the exit. So pretty darn simple, in my opinion, to manage any of these weekend option opportunities.
I love it, Nate. I think this is a no-brainer. You guys saw the stories. I don't know if you were able to see all the chats, everyone, but there was about a dozen people who were posting in that you must join this. If you have any common sense, this is a great strategy to get in on. And Nate, people are loving it. I'm loving it.
I
Let's
didn't
go
get
ahead
to
and
shout
open
out everyone in the chat. Sorry, I know some people during the presentation said, "Hey, I love it. I've won X amount of trades, or it's a great service." So do appreciate you guys. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to stop and pause and recognize you, everyone who said that they were loving it. But appreciate all that. Always great to hear from members who are actually doing it in real time and hopefully making some money.
Yeah, that's awesome. Guys, let's go ahead and open up the chat here and answer some questions. And Raleigh, I see you're here. If you don't mind catching us up to speed here, I'm going to fade in the background, Raleigh, and let you kind of manage this with Nate. But I thank you guys all, and I really hope everyone's in on this trade. Nate, can you send me the trade when you have it so I can take it?
Yes, sir. I'll have it over here in a couple hours.
Awesome. Thank you.
You send it to me too, Nate.
Hey, Raleigh, I have to charge you, though. I don't trust you enough.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But anyway, hey, listen, terrific presentation. First of all, the opening playbook was amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
This was terrific at this point in time. You want me to grab the screen here, buddy?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You want to grab it? And as I mentioned, guys, that link that Raleigh posted already has that 2-year discount baked in. You don't have to type in a code or do anything else. That's the 2-year. That's the 2-year deal. So just pop that in there. Click that link, and it'll give you the deal automatically.
Yeah, I'm just grabbing the screen here, and okay. So several questions came up during the presentation, and you answered a number of them. But one question was this, Nate. We have the 4th of July coming up, which means Friday's a holiday, and there are times when Monday's a holiday. Are those weeks when you skip a trade, or would you look for the trade, for example, on next week on Thursday?
Great question. So extended weekends are one of our key filters. We have about 4 filters. That's one of them. So we won't typically take a trade on any kind of weekend holiday. Now, every once in a while, I'll give a bonus trade. I'll give it, if I like where the market's at, if I'm optimistic about a certain thing, I'll throw in a bonus trade that you might want to consider. But the official trades have several filters. You'll learn all about them in the masterclass, by the way. I don't hold anything back. It's not like I say, oh, hey, this is how the strategy works, but here's these 3 things that are part of my proprietary. No, I teach you every single filter, every single step, and you'll learn those as soon as you go through the masterclass.
Man, that's fantastic. So that's good to know, folks. Actually, we don't get cute with these programs. There's a reason why they work, and we have all this objectivity behind it. So as Nate just said, if it's a long weekend, we just happen to skip that, and there are about 4 that occur during the year. A number of people were wondering, are there specific tickers that this works best for, or are you just basically looking for the best opportunities?
Great question. So the way this works is, first of all, you have to start with tickers that have Monday expirations, because that's where our entire advantage built in. There's only about 6 of those that have Monday expirations. You can trade a couple different ones. The SPY, XSP, SPX, so all of the S&P are the most profitable. They're the most consistent over the weekend. They shrug off news the best. They have the best, win rates, all of the things. You could trade QQQ. You could trade a couple other ones. But I am trading the SPY assets simply because the testing and the data is the most profitable. And by the way, if you have those exit targets, one of the things that you want is really easy fills, right? If it hits your target by a penny or 2, you want out of the trade when you're using an automated exit. Well, trading the assets with the most volume on the planet helps you get out a little more easily.
Okay, that's perfect. And once again, as you said, this is one of those things where you get the alert. You basically are going to set your exits and just walk away from it.
Walk away.
Walk away. Now, what was interesting here is a number of people are wondering, Nate, am I putting 100% of my investment at risk? And I was looking at the track record, and the average winner is 23.8%, and you have a lot of winners. But the average loser was just 55%. So from that standpoint, once again, you're not risking 100% of your investment.
Right. Now, there's an important distinction there, which is that I'm willing to risk 100%, which
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So if I throw $2,500 in today's trade, I'm willing to risk the 2,500. But a lot of times, what you'll see is the market is kind of somewhere in between, and then I'll shoot out a manual. I say a lot of times, and we're talking what 5% of the time so far. So not a lot of times, but 5% of the time, the market is floating in between, and we'll cut it off with a manual exit at, a 30% loss or a 40% loss. I think there's one there that's like a 2% loss, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
it just depends on exactly what's happening in real time. But one out of every 15, one out of every 20 trades, you might get one of those where it's in between and you end up in that middle ground. And then I'll send you a manual alert that says, hey, we're in between. Let's go ahead and close out for, an updated limit order.
Nate, that is terrific. And once again, just to recap, folks, here, when Nate says goes into the trade, he knows that his investment, it could be 100% at risk.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, once again, he is looking at the trade. He's monitoring the trade for us. And if it's not going the way he feels it's going to go, he'll get us out, and for a much, he'll try to limit our downside. And once again, folks, I got to tell you, we're talking about 95% win rate, 5% of the losing trades. You have managed nicely for us. That's fantastic. So Nate, the other big question on everybody's mind was like, what level options do I need, and what kind of option trades are these? I think you said we need to be able to trade spreads. Is that correct?
Yeah, and this will shock everyone that I'm using debit spreads for these kind of trades, because that's pretty much what I use across the board for every different way that I can skin the cat is some version of a debit spread. Now, this one's a little bit different because of the way that we do it. Spread width inside, the money, the fact that it's a Monday expiration, it's different than any other trade that I do. But structurally, you're going to need level 2 options for most brokers to do a debit spread. I'm going to use a debit spread with a target. Now, the cool thing, Raleigh, is, and this is kind of one of the secret hacks, if you will. I don't like throwing around things like secret hacks, but I'm being, hyperbolic here. But it is very cool, which is that sometimes you get into these trades, you pay a certain debit to get in because that's how a debit spread works. You have a target for a little bit more, and the market moves like 30 cents, and you're seeing a decent profit. And you're like, well, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And the reality is that sometimes literally just the volatility tailing off a little bit makes your trade more valuable. So I've seen trades where I entered at, 3 p.m. on a Friday. It gets to 4 p.m. The market has barely moved, and it says, hey, good news, you're up 20%. Close the trade. And you're thinking, wait, I didn't even get anything right yet. How did that happen? Now, that's rare, but it just shows you the power of kind of getting in and using volatility to your advantage instead of fighting it directionally, which is what we do on these weekend trades.
Wow, that's terrific. That's terrific. And we got some more great questions that are coming in here. One was just posted here from Sherry. She says, during the weekend, can we modify the trade if we need to? For example, Fidelity is my platform.
You can modify your target anytime. So you could log in on Sunday and change your target if you wanted to. I wouldn't typically recommend it, but you could modify the target at any point between, when you enter the trade and when that target is filled or the trade expires. So, anywhere in that range, yeah, you could change your target. You have a target set for a 20% ROI, and you think, market just got some good news. I'm feeling aggressive, bumping that target up to 40%. You could do that. I'm very rules-based, as I'm sure most of you guys know. So I'm not really one to do that in most situations. There are about 2 scenarios where I do that. They're very rare. But you, as the trader, especially because you will learn the strategy A to Z, have full control over whatever you want to do.
Yep. Good point there. And remind us once again, Nate, when do you typically issue these trades? Is it around 3 p.m. Eastern?
Right around 3 p.m. I say 2:45 p.m. to 3:10 p.m. is the 25-minute range where you should pretty much be able to set your watch by. Obviously, I'm watching the market. So if at 2:45 p.m., Trump gets up and says, hey, we're sending, planes over, I might hold back a little bit and say, hey, guys, hang on tight. We're going to do a little bit later trade today. I'll be flexible within reason, but I'm very routine based. I'm very systematic. So 99 out of 100 times, it's going to be right in that same window.
Right. So one of the things that's important about this program is the fact that you have these master classes, and I know that you've held some, and they are recorded. Do you have any coming up on the calendar, Nate?
Great question. We don't have any on the calendar right now, but we probably will get one for July because we haven't done a live weekend trade in a little while. So we'll probably get one on the calendar for July. The live ones are great, but the master classes really walk you through step by step. And I do a live trade in the master class, so you can actually see a real money trade as well. So you're getting both the training and the live class.
Yeah,
If you do.
absolutely. And to so many people that are asking question, is this in the money, out of the money? You're asking a lot of specifics about the trade. It's all covered in the masterclass, folks. Okay, Nate walks you through everything. He's totally transparent. He wants you to know exactly what the trade's all about, why it makes sense, what you need to do, because at the end of the day, you're going to make the decision to place the trade.
Yeah,
We already know
absolutely.
that Nate's going to take the trade, but whether you make it or not, he's going to educate you on everything there, and it's all there. And as I said, those master classes are already pre-recorded, and they're not out of date. Once again, maybe the trade's out of date, but the information is priceless.
Yeah. By the way, totally random question Joseph asked, which has nothing to do with weekend options, just to be clear, so don't get confused. I have this T trade on, and it is in between our strikes right now. I have a target set right now for 70 cents. It's not at my target. So, Joseph, probably by 1 o'clock, I'll ratchet down that target and just get out for whatever I can. 50 cents, 52 cents is probably what I'll end up doing.
Okay. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah. So, so a question here with regard to the money back guarantee, there is one, yes. And so from, whether you go for the 2-year program or the lifetime price, you have 14 calendar days to make a decision if it's right with you. Now, some people might be a little bit concerned. Well, we got a weekend coming up. Guys, when you get into the program, take a look at the track record, look at all the information that is there. Okay. And I think we feel confident that there's enough information there, and not only education, but training and direction and the opportunity to take some trades that you should be able to determine for yourself if this is something that you want to use going forward.
Yeah.
And as Nate said, if you're buying into this with the idea that I've already got one foot in the bucket, I'm going to take a refund, don't sign up.
Yeah, I would say, Charles, just your question, I understand your question, but I'd say probably not a great fit for you, Charles, because if you're thinking, oh, hey, I need to go 2 for 2 on the weekends or I'm out, you really shouldn't judge a strategy on 2 trades. That we don't do a 14 days so you can get 2 trades. We do it so you can get the training, get the understanding, and then decide if it's a good fit. Because no strategy is going to give you a track record in 2 days. You have to actually see if the strategy is right. So I totally appreciate your question. I know exactly where you're coming from. I would say that is not how I would recommend looking at a strategy. I would recommend understanding the strategy, making sure you can do it functionally. You like the way it operates, the timing works, all that kind of stuff. And then if you trust me and you trust the track record that we built so far, hopefully you're excited about it. But saying like, oh, hey, I lost my first trade, I'm out. I don't think that's really how I would approach it. So I'm not trying to be harsh, but if that was your mindset, I would say just skip this one. Maybe wait for something that you can get a little more testing on, because we won 17 in a row in 2025, Raleigh. If we lose this weekend trade, I'm certainly not going to think, well, dang, the strategy doesn't work.
Yeah,
I'm going to think 17 for 18. I'm thrilled. But if you starting this weekend, you're 0 for 1, you're going to have a different mentality. But hopefully enough context that you think, well, 0 for 1 doesn't define a strategy. 17 for 18 so far. So all of that just to say, I don't think 2 weeks is ever going to tell you if a strategy works, no matter how many trades it has. Personally, just my preference. And so hopefully it's more about the training and if it works, in terms of what you expect out of the strategy.
You bet. And so Rob says, will there be a trade issue today? Absolutely, Rob. There will be a trade coming out sometime between 2:45 and 3:10. That's that 25-minute window that NAICS works within. So you sign up for the program today, you can expect that you're going to get that trade right around 3 p.m. Eastern time. And that gives you plenty of time to get it in the market before the market closes today.
Absolutely.
All right. So we have Nate here for a couple more minutes. He's got a bunch on his plate that he's got to do today, guys. And I'm going to stay a little bit longer and answer your questions. But man, Nate's the expert. This is his program. This is your time to ask him specific questions that he can answer for you. Do I have to do
I'm
a count?
scrolling through here. I'm not, I think we covered most of them, but Raleigh, please point out if you see, I'll give you a couple more minutes here if you see anything I missed.
No, like I said, there were a lot of questions specifically about the trade. Is this in the money? Is it out the money? Those types of things. And this is not the place to address that. That all happens in the master class. Let me see. Joseph says, how do you approach percentage allocation?
So for me, and by the way, I need to publish an official guide on this summer because I did a couple members only classes where I talked about this, but it's a common question. The way that I do it, Joseph, is I actually have a separate account. So I do it on an account basis. I have a separate active trading account that's higher risk, and then I put a more aggressive proportion of that account in my strategies. In other words, I don't take my main portfolio and risk 5% of my main portfolio on one options trade. I typically wouldn't recommend that, although any risk decisions are up to you. What I do is I carve out a separate strategy account that I can be more aggressive with. Then I try to double that account, and then I move profits over back into my investment account. Then I try to double it again, and I move profits into my investment account. So that's my approach. Obviously, everyone has their own risk tolerance, all that kind of stuff. But that's the way that I do it because I want to be aggressive in my account, but I don't want to be, I don't want to risk huge chunks of my total investment portfolio on an option trade. Well, how do you do both? Set up a separate trading account, and then you're aggressive within that trading account. So I don't know if that helps, but that's how I do it for me.
No, I thought that was great. Thought that was terrific. And so some people here in the room are sort of intrigued about the portfolio of programs that you have to offer. If they wanted to go someplace to see, what you do, Nate, would they just go to prosperitypub.com and look under gurus and find you?
Is it embarrassing that I have no idea what the right answer to that question is, Raleigh?
No, it's not because
I have no idea
you're
where the
focused
best
on running the
summary.
business and trading.
I have no idea where the best summary of all the stuff that I've been doing and building is. If someone wants a better summary than what I'm aware of, you might have to call and just ask whoever you kind of get on the other end of that line. Hey, what's the best summary? Because I do have something called the Tucci Trading HQ. That's my headquarters idea, where actually you get everything. You even get like beta stuff before I'm even done with it. So some people are all in; they want that. You certainly call and ask them about that. That's it's obviously a very selective group of people, but there are other ways that you can kind of get a summary. They can send you a PDF, I think, of all the different stuff. I just have no idea where to get that.
I did a quick little check, buddy, and if people, and I'll go ahead and post this. If you go to prosperitypub.com, okay, what that is that is the general website, and there's a lot of information. There's an about us, page. There are services that are offered. There's roundtable information, but there you'll be able to go and see Nate, his handsome picture there, and be able to see somebody. You could read about the services. The other thing that you can do is call sales at 904-706-3537 and say, hey, my name is Raleigh. Here's my email address. Can you send me, a write-up or something on all of Nate's services? But yeah, so that's the beauty of a website is that we have that information there. Let me see. Ken says, are there different telegrams for weekend? What is it?
No,
weekend
just
option income machine?
no, just one Telegram gives you the alert, and then you click and go right into the one-click portal that has the updates. Good question. It's all right there in that same Telegram.
Yep. So just to summarize there, Nate's going to be saying, hey, an alert's there. Okay.
Yep.
And you go to the one.
You click right into the one-click portal there.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Last point here, Nate, is that there's a number of people that maybe came a little bit late to the program wondering if there's going to be a replay. And folks, there sure is. That's the good news. This is a live presentation and it is being recorded. And if any of you would like to have a link to a copy of this presentation, just give me your name and your email address and say, send me the replay. put that in the chat panel. It's a private chat panel at this point. We're the only ones that see your email information. And when we're done here, I'll get that to our customer care team, and they'll send you a link as soon as the replay is available. And with that, folks, if you have any last minute questions for Nate, now's the time to ask. Otherwise, I'm going to release him to his other duties, and I'll take over from here.
Well, thanks, Raleigh. Appreciate it, and appreciate all of you guys being here on a Friday. Huge room today. We had almost 500 people in for opening Playbook, which is always fun to hear from everyone. Max, Max has a picture of me. What about my wife? Yeah, I would probably be a lot more popular if all of my pictures included my wife. What do they call that? Batting out of my league. What's that term?
Yeah, out kicking your punt, something.
Yeah,
out kicking your coverage,
the coverage.
Like
yeah,
that. You're
all
better
the things.
9/10.
yeah, all the things.
That's great. That's wonderful. Well, Nate, thank you so much, buddy, not only for being here for today, but for everything that you do to bring strategies and techniques and platforms to us that are designed to give us an edge in how we trade the markets. You're sharing with us what you have created for yourself. And I think that's incredible that you do that. And that's what we do here. So take care, buddy. Have a wonderful weekend. And I look forward to seeing you in the very, very near future.
All right. Thanks for all. You too. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully get some smooth weather over there. And I think we're finally getting close to the decline as well. So enjoy it.
That sounds great. Thank you, buddy. Well, once again, folks, this was, this was Graham and Nate. They started with the opening, playbook that they do on a daily basis. And that moved right into a presentation on the weekend options. Now, what I've done, folks, I've already shared with you that if you'd like to have a link to a copy of this presentation, all you have to do is give me your name and your email address and say, send me the replay. And I'll make sure that we get that over to our team and they email that out to you. What I've also done is I've created a little summary over what was presented today. Now, I've stripped out all the marketing stuff and the testimonials and things of that nature, but just to talk about the bare bones of the program for those of you that came late, or maybe we just like a little refresher as to what this program is all about. And I also have some information with regard to the special pricing that we have. So if you've got any questions, put them in the chat panel and I'll address them as soon as I'm finished with this summary, which should take about 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, so today's focus was on weekend options, and it's a service that's solely dedicated to targeting extra income over the weekends, thanks to a special perk that's been set up by the CBOE just months ago. And this has shown the power to generate about 20% in average net returns each weekend. There's an opportunity. Now, throughout the presentation, Nate and Graham made representations that, hey, you can earn $1,000 with this, and you can, and that assumes that you start with 5,000. So 20% of 5,000 is 1,000. Now, if you start with 500, you're going to be making 100 is what our results show should happen. So any way you look at it, I prefer to focus on the percentage. We're looking at 20% in average net returns. That's net of winners and losers, okay? And the results have been impressive on back tested and live trades all the way back to the 6th of January 2023 through the 6th of June 2025. We've had a total of 79 trades, 75 winners, 4 losers. The average net return has been 19.7%, and the profit factor has been an incredible 7.97. And for those of you that are not familiar with profit factor, this means that for every $1 you lose, you make $7.97. That's an incredible profit factor when you consider that we're looking at a win rate of 94.9%. This is obviously not a scalping strategy by any stretch of the imagination. Now, when you join the program, here's how it works. Every single week, if we see a trigger, we're going to give you our very best weekend options income opportunity, one that Nate trades with his own money. All of the alive alerts are Nate trades with his own money as well. So he's got his money on the line. And he'll send you the entry criteria, the specific options to take, as well as the automated exit prices as well. And you can expect about 3 to 4 of these trades every month. And once again, his intent is to send you one every Friday where Friday is not a holiday. Okay. But there may be times when the market just isn't setting up correctly, and you'll know in that case as well. In any event, 3 to 4 of these trades a month is what you can expect. And once again, The alerts will always hit your inbox on Friday, typically between 2:45 and 3:10. So let's say around 3 p.m. Eastern time, and the last hour of the day, and you don't have to be glued to the screen wondering when to enter and exit. You can set your calendar to it. You're going to get an alert right around 3 p.m. Eastern time on a Friday, and you'll also get a text and telegram alert as well telling you that a new trade or alert is waiting for you. Now, we also include a live masterclass where we cover every last detail about the weekend options, how to select the best strike prices for triple premiums, and triple the cushion, as well as covering overlooked technical pattern that increases your historic win rate by about 20%. And you can use this on other strategies as well. Now, Nate already has, I think, one or two of these master classes that are recorded, that are in your members area. So once again, I would urge you to check those out, because there's a lot of information about the program and it's not outdated. Other than the fact that maybe there was a live trade that was taken that's no longer valid. He also said during today's presentation he will be scheduling another live masterclass here in July. We're just not quite sure when that's going to be, but as a member, you'll be aware of it. You can certainly attend live, or once again, it is always recorded and put in your members area. Okay. We also have extended hours trading. And what we mean by that is that we've designed the method behind weekend options to specifically focus on tickers that allow you to trade the options even after the markets have closed. Okay. So in our members only class, we'll walk you through the specifics of the strategy, plus how you can enter up to 15 minutes after the markets close, thanks to a small tweak in our options order. So with the tickers that we trade and the trade that we're setting up, you're not out of luck if it's after 4 o'clock. You have till 4:15 p.m. Eastern time to get these trades in the markets. And for those of us that are out and about or busy, that extra 15 minutes could be extremely helpful to us when it gets to entering these trades in the markets. Now, we also have the early payday plan where we'll show you how to set up the trade on Friday to automatically cash out when you hit our target. Normally that happens on Monday morning. So when the markets open again, but sometimes the trades are so good that we can get paid even early on a Friday. So imagine that there might be times when you get the trade at 3 o'clock, you put it into the market and you're out before the market even closes because it moves so quickly for you that you were able to go ahead and get your profit on Friday. That would be terrific. Okay. But in most cases, once again, more than likely, you're going to be getting out on a Monday to collect your profits or exit the trade. We also have complete support for everything that we do here. It's called Customer Service Live. And this is a live Zoom room that's open from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time every day. So, what you do, if you have any questions about this program whatsoever, is that you go into your members area, you click on Customer Service Live, and it takes you right into a live Zoom room where the team there is all set. They're experienced, they're knowledgeable. They also happen to be traders, so they know where you're coming from, and they'll answer any questions that you have about this program. It's a phenomenal services. We're one of the only companies I'm aware of that does this. That's 15 hours a week, 3 hours every day. Come in as often as you like, because we want to make sure that we have your questions answered and you totally understand how to fully leverage the products and services that you have bought from us. Now, with regard to pricing, our publisher set the retail price of this program at just under $3,000 per year, so $29.93 per year. But by virtue of the fact that you're here with us today in this webinar, and we think against the backdrop of what's going on in the markets, this is the kind of strategy that we think would be appealing. We've got a couple of bonuses here to make this very attractive. Bonus number one is that we're knocking $1,030 right off the price, making it $1,963 per year. Okay. But bonus number two is we decided that we would double that. And for the first 50 people that join the program, we're going to cover the cost of the first year of the membership. What that means is for 1963, it's not for 1 year, it's actually for 2 years worth of access on the program. So when you go, prosperitypub.com, you can see here everything in the program, the complete program, 1963 for 2 years worth of access is already set up for you. So here's some frequently asked questions. How much money is needed? Well, the trades average around $2 per contract. And Nate said he was looking at the live trades and it's been averaging about $1.80 per contract. So that would be $180 to $200 per contract. So we think that's very affordable for anyone, given that you might be starting out with a small account size. Like if you're starting with $2,000, $3,000 or whatnot, you're not risking a significant amount of your capital on any given trade. So once again, in the live trades, it's been 180. If we average everything across all the back testing that we did, it's about $200 per contract, and that's extremely affordable in our opinion. Is this day trading? Absolutely not. We're entering before the market closes on a Friday, and we're aiming to exit on Monday. So definitely, this is a short-term swing trade, but it's not a day trade. You don't have to worry about pattern day trading. Should we be concerned about a bear market? Well, we're not holding positions during the week. So we're targeting extra income over the weekend when the markets are closed. And the data shows so far we're 10 for 10. We're actually 17 for 17 and 25. We need to update that to be absolutely accurate. But the point is this, is we're getting into the market. And even though there may be crazy things that happen over the weekend or whatnot, we're kind of immune to it by virtue of the fact that the markets are closed at that point in time. And we're looking to get out on Monday morning. So once again, if you look at our back testing going all the way back to the 6th of January, 2023, and you think about everything that we've experienced over this period of time, through the election, through tariffs, everything that's there, we still have an incredible track record with this program. Can I trade this in a regular brokerage account or an IRA or a 401k? Yes, it is retirement account friendly. A warning here on 401ks though. 401ks are company sponsored and not all of them will allow you to trade options, but you can certainly do it in an IRA account and you can do it in a normal account as well. How do we close the trade? Well, there's an automated exit. You don't have to do anything to exit the trade. He'll teach you how to do it step by step, and then all you do is let it work. And when I asked Nate the question about the fact that if he sees that the trade is working against him, will he make a decision to interject himself and exit the trade early? The answer is absolutely yes. Okay. Now, over the trades that we've done, I guess the 80 or 90 trades that we've done, we've only had 5 losers. The average losing trade has been about 50%. So Nate will go in there, and if he's not happy with what's going on, he'll do a manual exit and he lets us know as well. So you're either going to let it expire and you take your profits, or he's going to tell you, hey, let's get out of this thing and limit our loss. Is there any kind of a guarantee? Yeah. This is a premium offering and it requires a ton of work on our side, but we are giving works of 14 people a 14-day money back guarantee. Okay. And what that means is whether you go for the 2-year program or the lifetime program, you have 14 calendar days from your purchase to fully examine the program. Look at the track record, look at the training material, even take a trade or two, okay, to decide if this is something that's good for you. And if during that time you have a question or an issue or it's not working for you whatsoever, call us and we'll refund every penny of your investment. So let's see. Do I have to be glued to the computer to take the entries and the exits? No. Both the entries and the exits are extremely easy to manage. Entries happen, around 3:30 each Friday, and the exits are fully automated. Okay, so from that perspective, once again, prosperitypub.com /WKO. And when you go there, here is the membership. Okay, here's the landing page, and you can see you get weekend options for 2 years for $1,963. Okay, that's your cost. And for those of you that are asking if there is a lifetime offer, okay, there certainly is a lifetime offer. And let me put this in the chat. So weekend options pricing, the 2-year price, 1963. If you want lifetime, the upsell for lifetime is $1,561. So the total cost for lifetime is $35.24. One of the really nice benefits of the lifetime is that it's a legacy license, which means that if at some point in time down the road, if you'd like to gift your membership to a son or a daughter or a friend or an acquaintance, you can certainly do that. Just call us and we'll transfer your membership absolutely free of charge. And what a terrific gift that would be to give somebody, once again, your membership for a continued lifetime access to this program. So, and when you do sign up for the program, here's a screenshot of what the members area looks like. You can see there's the trade tracker here where you can go and dig into the forensics of all the trades that have been taken. You want to join Nate's Telegram service, you do it here. There's an options calculator. If you want to join, the live master class, you do it here. Here's pre-recorded master classes. Nate also includes the slides that he used in the master class that you can download and make notes on. And there's additional information there. I just didn't want to take a bunch of screenshots, but I just wanted to introduce you into what the members area looks like. So once again, that concludes my summary presentation. So let me go to the chat panel here and answer some questions that have come up. I see that a number of you, great that you're looking for the replay. Okay, and a question here, do you know if there will be a trade today? Yes. There is a trade today. Today is Friday. It's not a holiday. And there will be a trade that's issued today. And Nate said, right around 3 p.m., sometimes as early as 2:45, no later than 3:10. So right around 3 p.m. Eastern time. And for those of you that are members, you can go to your members area there, or you'll get a text or a telegram alert telling you that there's a trade alert waiting for you. So, all right. Well, it looks like things are kind of slowing down here a little bit. And Nate and I and Graham, we all know how valuable your time is. And we certainly hope that you got benefit out of this presentation. As I mentioned earlier before, what we're looking at is an edge in how you can trade the markets. Initially, an edge that Nate created for himself, for his own trading. And once he saw the kind of consistency and potential that it had, he decided this was something that needed further study and analysis because he felt it would be great. He felt it would be great to go ahead and have this available to the general public. Once again, it's a terrific, very, very focused strategy associated with this. So once again,
All right, folks, that is the presentation today on weekend options. If you want to be able to take advantage of today's trade coming out in about 2.5 hours, then you can get in on that now. And once you sign up, you'll have access to the members area for weekend options. You can take the training and go through all of that, as well as you will have access to the alert in the members area when it comes out right around 3 p.m., give or take about 15 minutes on either side. And you should also automatically get signed up to get the alert sent to you as well. If you're not already in Nathan's Telegram channel, you'll want to make sure you sign up for that. There's a link for that inside the members area as well, and that will tell you exactly when the alert is posted. All right. If anybody has any other questions, this will be your last chance to go ahead and ask them. You can direct message me by clicking on my message in the chat and then clicking that double speech bubble icon to send me a private message, and I will do my best to answer it for you here and now. Let's see what we have here. I think I've answered everybody's question regarding the weekend options program. It does have a perfect track record so far this year. Of course, we can't guarantee that's going to happen this weekend, but even if it doesn't, the long-term success of it is pretty obvious. And it's a fairly low cost of entry. So the examples that were given in some of the slides might have been based on a $5,000 investment just to kind of make it apples to apples, comparing trade to trade to trade. But you can get in these trades for as little as $100 to $300, depending upon the weekend. And Of course, you can multiply that up and make it as large of a trade as you want. But if you do have a smaller account, this is pretty decent for that. It's not quite as low as the overnight options, which are typically under $100, but these are typically 100 and something or 200 and something dollars each to get in them. I don't remember one recently that was 300 or more. So a pretty good low barrier of entry on the minimum investment side. And obviously the track record is tremendous. So you can expect to grow your account at a decent pace. All right, I don't see any more questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and close it out. Thanks for being here. Just a reminder, Lance's Stonkamania will be in this channel again and every day going forward. So in about 1 hour from now, you can expect to see and hear Lance in here. And then we will be back with Nate and Graham. And we have actually a very special closing playbook going on today. It is a Friday closing playbook, which typically entails some cool stuff from the guys. But also we will have several special guests along with Nathan and Graham. So it will be a really fun, somewhat different closing playbook today. So see you then.